Hey, it's the Giant Bombcast for, God, what day is it? It's Tuesday, April the 7th, 2020. Hello, hi. I'm Brad Shoemaker. I'm just going to ask the question that's on everyone's minds. What's up with your pants?
I haven't wore any since Friday.
Wait,
or
what are you wearing right now?
I mean, it's just shorts.
Today we're taking it below the belt.
Ooh.
Like
I've had to hike up my shorts my pants way too high
to get to ankle level.
Here's the real question. Here's the real question. Has anybody put on real pants in at least 2 weeks?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most days.
Yeah.
Wearing actual pants around the house? Why would
Hell.
you do that?
Hell no.
Yeah.
It makes me think that I'm a human again.
I don't know what that is.
Feel something.
Yeah. No.
Damn it.
Ben, are you wearing a shirt with buttons?
I am. Like, I got fully dressed. I'm
Wow.
wearing a belt.
Wait, are you one of those shower and put on work clothes to work at home people?
Not all the time, but I've been wearing the same like pajama shirts for days in a row, and I miss my everyone's got some favorite shirts, and
Yeah.
I miss wearing them.
Oh, good for you. When I used to have to work from home at another job, I would have to get dressed and do a whole routine before actually sitting down to do my day's work. But
It's in all this time of chaos, there's something to be said for having just a smidgen of the old life
I
available.
don't know what that is. I did laundry over the weekend, and I dumped the hamper out, and all of my work clothes were at the very bottom of the hamper. And then they all went right back in the hamper. Because it's gym shorts all day, every day right now.
all right.
Yeah, that's right.
We talking below the knee, above the knee?
Depends on the day. I've got an and one pair that's definitely well below.
Okay.
I will say I feel pretty silly putting on a button-up shirt, jeans, a belt, and then walking around the house in slippers.
It's a look.
Yeah.
I feel like there are probably people that worked in an office that definitely had their office slippers, though.
Oh,
Like
God.
you're just that guy now
The
in your home
idea of
office.
taking your shoes off in the office, sorry, Matt Rory, if you're listening, is
Yeah,
terrifying.
I was going to say, we live with that reality almost every day.
Yeah.
We have that guy.
And it's never been a problem. So.
I've never noticed.
Well, okay, all right.
No.
You don't
Not
sit
for
next
me.
to him during UPF every week.
Maybe
Fair enough.
Some of us have less sensitive noses than others, perhaps.
Oh no, my sense of smell and taste.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh no, he's in the chat. He heard us.
Feet do get hot.
His feet get hot.
I was talking about a different Matt Rory. He works in sales.
Right, yep. That other guy. What else is new from the home front?
Getting real creative with cooking.
Nobody has an answer at this point. It's just like, this is our life now.
I made waffles today.
That's ambitious.
cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Jan,
Thanks
are
for
you
joining us.
really starting to just like experiment in the kitchen?
Sure. Yeah.
No, I mean after like a couple weeks in between grocery deliveries, you have to stretch stuff kind of thin. I've been I don't know, I've made some fucked up meals.
I
I've
definitely
made some
thought.
stuff we would make for the show, but in real life.
Have you guys seen that whipped coffee thing that's blowing up on the internet?
What's up with
Yeah.
that?
So it's like a whipped instant coffee, but I thought about doing that with my oatmeal again.
Ooh.
But then I remember the last time I put coffee in instant oatmeal, and it did not go well. So I haven't gone too crazy yet, but who knows?
I've been
knows?
starting every day with a cup of coffee with a combination of hemp and coconut oil in it.
Oh, all right.
Really something?
Nice. I drink one Rockstar a day. I'm rationing them out. I got 2 cases a while back. So, Jeff, how's the hyphy juice situation? I'm out. I think. Yeah, all that got drank months ago, like a lifetime ago. Yeah, no, I've been, for me, it's been a mix of like kind of living out of the freezer / microwave and then like whatever is left over. So it's been a lot of leftover, like, so the baby's eating food in theory, but sometimes in practice, she's just like, nah, not today, or maybe later. So it's like, here's this oatmeal that we've whipped a little peanut butter into,
Is your baby a magic 8-ball?
Yeah.
Try
yes.
again later.
Yeah, basically, there's a lot, but it's always try again later. And so it's been a lot of like half bowls of oatmeal or rice cereal or hey, we've whipped together some coconut yogurt and banana and pureed it up, and
Damn.
she loves it, but if we give her all of it, she'll throw up, so then I get the rest. So it's been a lot of I get the rest around these parts, which sometimes is all of it, because she'll have like one spoonful and just be like, fuck this, I'm done. No, what are you doing? Fuck food, I'm gonna lose all this weight. And I'm like, no, you can't. Oh baby, you can't. But
sounds like a
other than
win-win
that,
though,
it's been-
because you get a nice coconut banana mashup
Oh.
or yogurt banana mashup.
totally.
Yeah, and then on top
like
of that, you get to say, tastes like baby food.
yes, and I've eaten jars of baby food and said that every single time.
Great. With your finger?
Every single time.
Stick your finger
Yeah.
in. Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's been a lot of that, mixed with a lot of like breakfast and dinner burritos out of the freezer. And then once that stuff, so it's been a mixture of that, and then just like looking at expiration dates on stuff. We got some groceries delivered, and they sent. So this was April 3rd. We got groceries delivered. There was a half gallon of milk that said best by April 4th.
Oh.
And like everything was
Right.
like, yeah, everything was very close to the expiration date. And so it's been a feeling of just like, all right, there's a like triage on the food of we have to take care of this has to be dealt with right now. These need to be cooked right now. This
Yeah.
produce needs to be cooked right now because it's about to turn, something's about to happen to it. So it's that's been guiding a lot of the decisions. So it's all just been this resource management / triage of just like, all right, we got this many diapers, we got this many baby wipes, I got this many burritos left. And those are basically the three currencies.
Yeah, in your household.
Yeah, around here.
The post-society currencies.
Yeah.
Diapers, burritos.
Diapers, burritos, baby wipes are pretty much the.
Man, I'm just sitting here typing podcast title after podcast title into this notepad window.
I did last night Google how many eggs are safe for human consumption in one day.
Ooh, I think I would.
Just because, like, I was
Are you gonna get into boxing?
no, I was closing in on a dozen
Whoa!
in a day.
Holy moly!
What?
Yeah,
That's,
fuck yeah.
I had 3 for breakfast. I made just a scramble, and then I had 3 for lunch. I was making fried rice with leftover rice and scrambled
okay.
some eggs in there.
Nice.
And then dinner was rolling around, and I was just like, man, I've got this frozen pizza, and something I've done before is like you just like take a frozen cheese pizza and put some poached eggs on top.
Yeah, what?
It's like
That sounds pretty.
I'm
damn
just gonna.
good, but
And I googled it, and I was reading it was one of those like medical Google scraping sites that just got doesn't actually say anything, but it was like most studies show that 1 to 3 eggs doesn't have any adverse effects if you're using that on a long time, or 1 to 3 a day for a long period of time. There hasn't been much research about the upper limit of eggs that a human can consume in a short period of time, and I said, well, time to
Just do that
submit some
research.
data.
Start taking notes. How do you feel? Great.
I feel great.
Yeah.
interesting times for sure. We're
Now, see, those eggs are going to go bad. So you're just
Exactly.
staying ahead of it. We got eggs that were like basically bad when they showed up.
yeah, like that's my
like, well-
that's my worry about all the delivery stuff. Like we looked into like the company offered us I don't know if you guys saw like some kind of discount on a produce delivery service, which we
Yeah,
thought about.
I love all the ads. Like the company is basically sending out emails to all its employees that read like podcast ad copy. It's like, we're gonna give you your first 5
Yeah.
boxes of vegetables free, and here's the offer code you can use for. And I was like,
yeah.
"What are we doing?"
Yeah. We thought about getting in on that, but I was afraid that the produce would show up like exactly like what happened to you. It's like you need to eat this in the next 36 hours or it's done.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oof.
So instead, we just haven't been eating much out of a desire to not have to go to the store. So I've lost like 8 pounds since this started.
Nice.
Yeah.
I decided to kind of splash out a little bit last time we ordered food, because I'm like, well, okay, if we're gonna order, we're gonna order. So let's go for it. And so I got like some frozen pizzas and some other stuff like that. And then I was originally thinking like, okay, I'm going to get some smallish frozen pizzas that are like responsibly sized, but they didn't have those. So they substituted them for full size pizzas that take up way more fucking space in the freezer. So like, that's the other resource is capacity.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, now I need to, so like those pizzas were some of the first things to go. Cause it's like, all right, we don't have enough room for stuff. I gotta get these pizzas out of here because it's just.
Are you taking them out of their boxes or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
wow.
Like definitely. Like it's it was like that. So we got a bunch of breakfast sandwiches that I no longer remember how to prepare because we threw the box away. So yeah, that's
quite a time that we are living in. Quite a time for a new Final Fantasy game to come out. Did you guys hear?
Wow.
They made it up to 7 Final Fantasies.
Wow.
Can you believe they're still putting numbers on the end of these things?
jeez. That's
Wait, I thought the last one was the last one.
7 here.
what does a 7 even mean? What is that?
Some Final Fantasy, huh?
It's just like those Japanese weird naming traditions to go from 15 to 7. Like, come on, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is upon us in the next 3 days or so. It's supposed to be out on Friday, although I guess if you're in certain territories, you may have gotten your retail copy already because they're out there. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ben, I know you've played a ton of it. Jan, you have also played a metric ton. We ran
and I've seen them out.
Ran a quick look yesterday. Did you guys play any more since the quick look? Sounds like you're both pretty deep in.
Yeah.
I got to about the part where Ben was at the time of yesterday, I guess, right before the big boss fight that he was having some trouble with. But I'm really enjoying my time with the game. And I know we had to do like the quick look in the most haphazard way possible and like spending a bunch of hours trying to figure out
pretty much the whole day.
We spent pretty much all of yesterday trying to get that quick look recorded. Ben pointed his laptop webcam at his TV at one point
that was a time.
to try to let us see what he was doing.
We tried PS4 parties for a second,
Yeah.
but then it just would not broadcast to each other. But that game is pretty.
It looks really good. That's a really good looking
really
game.
great.
Yeah.
It's stunning.
Granted, most of the environments are very enclosed. Like you're not seeing a whole lot of stuff at one time, so they can afford to put more detail into it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the weirdest thing that really makes it feel like it has a good sense of place to me is every time I pan the camera up and see the bottom of the underside of the upper crust of Midgar. Like that's just such a nice world building touch to have that there in the skybox at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So
it makes sense. I mean, like, that's something that the characters are constantly talking about. You know, you meet like a character early on who talks about never having seen the sky, right? They grew up in the slums and that big pizza plate is just over their head. And it helps add a lot of context.
do they actually use the word pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
Pizza plate.
Yeah.
Pizza's like
Actual pizza.
Pizza comes into the plot in a minor way.
Okay, I mean, having gone down the rabbit hole of soundtracks extracted from video games over the last couple of years, there's a track on the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack called "Underneath the Rotting Pizza." So I wasn't sure if that actually made its way into the text of the game, but I guess so.
I think Ben and I are in the same boat where we both didn't have a particular fondness for Final Fantasy VII originally, and like never really checked it out.
I mean, is that to say you played it and didn't like it, or you just didn't play it?
Like I had played it at my uncle's house as like a kid, like every other week, but didn't really stick with it until like maybe didn't fall into the series until maybe 8, I want to say.
Okay.
But like, you wind up absorbing all the important story beats and everything from that series. But I've been gotten really, really attached to it. And I think I've put in maybe about close to 20 hours now. Ben, you're about like the same, right?
I'm closing in on 30. I marathoned a lot more of it yesterday and woke up early and played more of it this morning. I can't stop thinking about it, honestly. Like it's really blown me away. I never touched the original game even a little bit. Like Jan, you absorb certain plot points that may be like, famous memes on the internet when you're growing up, and
such as what?
I
want to know, like, somebody
I
who
don't want to even say it.
Somebody who never played Final Fantasy VII back in the day, like, what did you absorb through cultural osmosis about it?
Okay, Cloud has a big sword.
Yeah, Cloud and Sephiroth have a sordid history. There is.
Wait, did you say a sword history?
I mean,
they definitely do.
They do.
That's what I heard.
Sure.
And then the very
got
end,
the Buster, and Sephiroth's rocking the katana. He's practiced with the blade.
Yes.
Right,
Cloud is definitely a buster. We can agree on that.
Cloud is a buster. Well, in this game, he is a huge buster, which is kind of great.
He's working on it.
I like I said, I can't speak to the original, so this is all coming from just playing this game. But they do a really good job. They plop Cloud in there, and he's this like mercenary who's there against his will. He's very short with everyone. He's like, he's not going to help anyone unless he gets some money. But they really do a good job of, over the course of the game, through like dealing with your characters in your party or characters in side quests, kind of humanizing him and making him, lower the barriers that he has built up around himself. The big thing about the game, right? Like, kind of our question collectively, I remember talking about it on the podcast, is like, this is only the first chunk of original Final Fantasy VII. It's like the first act, the first disc, maybe. I don't even know. Like,
that might be right. I can't remember when the first disc swap happens, but it's
maybe
definitely
not
like,
even a full disc.
Like, it's very, it's a self-contained. Like, you're in Midgar for a long stretch of time, and then you're out of Midgar. Like, it's a clearly like kind of a first act setup.
Yeah. So like that was the question, right? What are they going to do to turn this into a full game? And by my count, and by seeing some other counts, it looks like it's going to take most people like 40 to 50 hours to beat the remake. So that's a lot for. I'm watching a playthrough of original Final Fantasy VII alongside as I play. Me and Jan are actually watching the same one. And like the point I'm at in the playthrough is about 3.5 hours, 4 hours, but I'm coming up on 30 in the remake time.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising how, and I don't know why this made me mad, but seeing that this like where you would be in the original, like at hour 2, it was like 10 to 15 hours into for me. But more so that they were able to flesh stuff out, whether it's by adding in additional scenes. We said this in the quick look, but like the characters of Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse are like practically like non-existent throwaway characters in the original. But here, like those three specifically, maybe less so Biggs, but like have become some of my favorite characters so far in where I'm at. Like
they'll
Wedge is a cat guy.
Yeah, they do like little things like that. They kind of give you glimpses. You go to their house and talk to them a little bit, but then like for people who played the original, kind of first 2 big missions are 2 like reactor missions. The demo is the first reactor mission, and then there's another one shortly after that. In the original, you kind of go from A to B, but this has a whole nother act, basically a whole chapter that takes place that's very Jessie-centric. You go with Jessie, you go visit her family, you do some other stuff with her. It introduces a new kind of bad guy who is like another soldier who fights with a motorcycle. It's like stuff that's not even referenced in the original game, just completely brand new. And it was kind of around that time. Jan, would you say that they really Kingdom Hearted this game up in terms of like the story and
I know a lot
some
of
the
people
newer characters?
A lot of people get turned off, like when we jokingly refer to like the Kingdom Hearts stuff popping up. But I think like you and I both mean in terms of like it's getting progressively more anime and out there.
The game is very anime. It's like kind of shocking, even like early on, just the way that a lot of the performances are framed in the cutscenes, and just the way that characters like gesticulate and like constantly throwing thumbs up in each other's faces, and like it's got a cheese to it at times.
Yeah, probably. I mean, in some ways, it kind of that story always was. It just the performance, the ability to convey that is better now. When you talk about Kingdom Hearts, the main thing, from you guys not necessarily being longtime Final Fantasy fans, but are you feeling it in the gameplay as well? I think that was some of the other stuff that early on people were like, oh, it kind of looks like Kingdom Hearts. Like, how is that borne out on the gameplay side.
So the combat, at least for me personally, feels very familiar to like a Kingdom Hearts format, in that you'd have like a party of 3, but instead you actually have control over your other party members, and it's not just issuing them commands, because you could do that via like the shortcut menu, but you can actually take full on control of them and like position them properly, cast actual spells, and
And you kind of have to.
They're all fully fleshed out playable characters. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like Cloud is the only one with a full moveset, and then everybody else is just like somebody you pop for a single ability from time to time. Like they're all fully playable.
I imagine the original had the kind of like Aerith is your main magic dealer and Tifa does the most physical damage. They kind of took those ideas and fleshed them out even more so, where like, in a battle, you kind of have to. Let me back up a little bit. The game is fairly easy early on. Like the first, up till about chapter 8, I had died 1 or 2 times.
You can get away with just like mashing square.
Yeah, I got a little sloppy. I like wasn't using healing items, whatever. Then there's a certain point in the game where it just really starts to kick your ass if you're not paying attention, if you're not using your loadouts, working on so like there's this whole upgrade system where you can upgrade your weapons. One of the coolest things I like about the game is each of the weapons that you unlock isn't strictly better than the last weapon. They all have pros and cons, and they all encourage you to use them all, because if you use a certain weapon long enough, you gain the proficiency, and you basically get to take that weapon's special move into your arsenal permanently. So you have to be managing that. You have to manage your materia loadouts. There's all sorts of different kind of materia. There's magic attacks. There's like passives, like build more ATB gauge while blocking, or there's even a system where you can link materia together. So like if you have the link materia and a fire materia, and you put those both in a linked slot, that means your character is going to start getting fire damage on their attacks, on their normal melee attacks. The combat is really deep and really fun.
Yeah, the amount of customization on weapons and materia and just about everything in the combat system is seems like it's going to be where a lot of the depth is. Also, it's action based, and like there's optional kind of commands, which people liken to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15. And I made this point when I played it at that preview event a few weeks ago. The Final Fantasy 13 influence on this game is like a lot of what I think is going to keep propelling it for me. Because you get that strategic layer of enemies have a bunch of resistances, and they've got the stagger posture kind of set up, and you have to pound on that stagger meter and kind of break through specific defenses on each enemy to actually do any meaningful damage. And like that really makes the fights feel like varied and fresh, from one to the next. Like you're always having to adapt. It's like, oh, can I be in this stance against this guy? No, I need to switch to the other stance. Do I need to like hit his lightning weakness to get that stagger up? Like there's just so much variety from fight to fight.
And even from boss to boss later on, like the bosses will start adapting, and you'll have to be switching between multiple types, and then they even start layering in some stuff where like you have to be cognizant of where a layout is, and like there are certain obstacles on the ground or in the walls that will start attacking with the monsters and stuff like that. So you have to be really you have to keep an eye on all your characters at once. It can get really hectic, but the ability to kind of pause and issue commands at any time makes it manageable. It's something that like in certain ways this feels like the opposite of Doom Eternal in some ways, where it's like it's pushing and challenging, but it gives you a moment to stop, survey what's going on, and decide how you want to approach things rather than having to do the one loop over and over. You can't do one thing in this game kind of over and over. You have to really start switching up your strategies, using the different tools in different times.
Okay, so Ben, earlier you said Aerith, and I think I know the answer to this question, but
Yes.
they
took a position, and it is
I think that's probably the right move, but
Yeah.
it's going to take me, let's say, another 20-ish years
Okay.
to stop. Like, oh no, like because the minute anyone says Aerith, I make a ton of assumptions about that person that are dead on accurate 100% of the time. And now that a new generation of people are going to like have that as their default or whatever, I'm going to have to reassess that, because there's a lot of just like, all right, fuck this person. I don't all right, you just pronounce it in the original Japanese. Very cool. All right, I have to go. But I guess I'll have to
What was it in
Makes
the
sense.
original PlayStation game? What did they go with in the English translation there?
Eris, wasn't
Eris.
it?
Eris.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember that being a big deal when they introduced Eris or Aerith into Kingdom Hearts, and they named her Aerith.
Yeah.
Like,
Versus
who's this
Aerith.
made up character?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it
yeah.
makes sense, right? They corrected the numbering in almost all cases, in the early, that stuff, and
Yeah, I mean, the
no one uses the
localization.
term Dragon Warrior anymore. It's Dragon Quest. Like people have made their corrections from those weird early days of localization. So it's the right move. But
Do you guys think it should be Mako or Mako?
I always said Mako.
I always
thought it was
said Mako back in the 90s, but if it's a Japanese
is-
word, it is Mako. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
The Mako made his eyes do the thing.
They're blue.
Yeah.
They're blue. Also, just have to shout out the music in this game.
It's good.
Phenomenal. They do a good job of playing around with, like, the Final Fantasy VII battle theme is one of the most iconic RPG songs ever, maybe.
Mhm.
And so they know that, like, right, that carries a lot of history. So they kind of have a lot of remixes of that, but then also do a lot of stuff like, Jan, what's not Market Street? What's the name of the Wall Market? When you get there, there's kind of like a lot of different, like, there's an EDM theme over here. They play with both, like, modern, but also kind of like some very 2000s era specific songs. It's just incredible.
I've been pretty amused at how kind of political some of the characters get early on. Like that, I mentioned it in the quick look, but that scene between Barrett on the train early on the subway and an NPC who the subtitles literally identify as Shinra Middle Manager
Yeah.
is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't think it's spoilers, but you do see that middle manager again.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's still like, "Why do you hate me so much? I'm just doing
Why
my
do you hate
job."
America?
Right. Like he's
I'm
all just
helping
like
you out, man.
oh, these
Who else was doing his job, middle manager?
yeah. Like he is just the like complete epitome of like institutionalist scum, basically. Just like doing the bidding of like evil corporate masters. But I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying it so far, because I played the original when it came out and I liked it. It was fine, but like Jeff might identify with this a little bit. Like the games that I really like are the Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And as much as I liked 7 when it came out, like there was a mild feeling of like not my Final Fantasy, like just like I don't need all this like flashy CG shit and like
I wanted
like
that.
where are all these fucking zippers and buckles coming from? Like
Yeah, there was definitely, like, I feel like through that era of Final Fantasy, there was definitely an element of just like, I can't believe how like these summon animations just get longer with every single game, and how come I can't skip them? What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like is this even a video game anymore? It's more it was like that and Metal Gear Solid, I think, were two ends of that. Or two sides of that coin of just like kind of changing the expectations for video games in different ways. But at the time, it was a feeling of just like, man, I sure am spending a lot of time fucking watching this shit instead of playing it.
sure. Like
so-
they turned it into a spectacle that I didn't think it necessarily needed to be. So as much as I kind of liked 7 when it came out, I've also just always had this a little bit of like an animus toward it. So
I think for me, it was just that was the time in my life when I finally had reached an age where it's like, I don't have fucking time for this. Like, not necessarily the skippable animations or whatever, but it was just like a game that long. Like, I just don't want to do this.
yeah.
And so that was like, the PS1 was definitely the era when I stopped, for the most part, like assigning myself RPGs to review. Because it was just like, no, we got people on staff that can do that shit, and it's not going to be me. Like, fuck this.
I would have been
freelance
happy to
those
have
things
been
out.
that person. Yeah, I was really into it. And, Brad, you mentioned that it became spectacle at that point. It was the first time that it was on CD based. We get better music. We get these FMV things that I was unfamiliar with at the time. I imported Final Fantasy VII before I came to the States and played through it in Japanese because I was that into the series.
So you were an Aerith guy.
I was an Aerith guy. I was one of those guys.
Nice.
I was the actually in Japan.
Well,
that may have come out a couple times, but no, I was totally into that spectacle, and I remember bringing my PS1 over to friend's house to like show them, the next era of Final Fantasies. This is amazing. these summons are so spectacular.
Just hold on a sec. I gotta hold this. I gotta hold this sensor down. Okay, now you pull the disc out, and then I'll
put the spring on the little nub there.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
And just flip it over. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
It'll work now.
So yeah, like just in light of my kind of mixed feelings about the original game, I'm kind of surprised how much this thing is winning me over, just with the, like the in-depth character work, like I said, that they're doing with like these really bit players from the original, and also just like as an exercise, just academically, it's kind of fascinating to see this old game that sort of looks like shit by modern standards, like reimagined in this like like incredible level of fidelity. So like it's just kind of cool. It's just a weird thing.
It's nice to see fingers.
Yeah,
really
Square's done a lot of I feel like they've done a lot of like poorly received things with old Final Fantasy games over the years, whether it was just like, we took the mobile game and threw it onto this platform.
Like that,
fuck you guys.
Like this had me thinking about Final Fantasy IV, the after years yesterday, and shit like that. So yes, spotty history with that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that they went all out on this. I was reading about the development history, kind of just refreshing myself on it, and over the last 5 years and all the trials and tribulations. But there was an interview with Nomura early on, and he was talking about the decision to split it out into multiple games rather than try and fit it all in one. It does really feel like that was a conscious decision and not like we would make more money if we did this thing, because like by the point that I'm at, this 30 hours in, like, they have this completely new combat, they have all these new scenes, new acts and stuff. It really does feel like they could have done a game called Final Fantasy VII Remake, made it be 40 to 60 hours, and it's the whole game, and they used traditional JRPG combat, but just with new graphics and new voice acting and all of that, and it probably would have been fairly well received. Like, people have been demanding this forever, but they didn't. They really went out of their way to make something that would appeal to not only Final Fantasy VII like fanatics and people who love the series, love the original game, but people like me who have no reverence for the original. I know I couldn't. I had somebody ask me on Twitter, like, does this make you want to go back and play the original at all? No, not at all. Like,
no.
It
would be so dated and
almost like abridged at this point. I mean, if they're able to flesh it out in ways that are good, like, it kind of doesn't matter what the motivations behind the scenes are. If it's like, oh, well, it's all a money move or whatever. But on some level, it seems like maybe that could have been a motivator. But also, like, if they're going to remake that game right, and they're going to say like, oh, this is the one we have to get right, I could very easily see someone in a position of power on that project going like, all right, if we really want to do this right, we're either talking about a 300-hour game, or we're splitting it up because it's unrealistic to do that on that budget or whatever. So I like one kind of informs the other maybe, but and it'd be interesting to know what came first. Because especially like when you hear about how troubled some of the development was, and they, like all that stuff. But if they're doing right by that game and fleshing it out in ways that make it feel like it matters, or like the stuff they're fleshing out feels like it matters, right? It's not just like throwaway stuff. It's not just like, hey, while you were doing this other character was doing this. It's like, actually making like meaningful updates and changes that widen that story out. It
helps this feel like a complete thing, right? It helps this feel like a game with an arc. Like, it's I'm in the Midgar. This is the Midgar arc, and so I'm meeting other people from Midgar. People who grew up in the slums, people who want to leave the slums, people who just all this other stuff that helps contextualize it and make it feel like a whole package rather than part of a bigger package.
And depends on how it ends, right? I mean,
yes,
they could run into a really bad Halo 2 problem at some point, depending on how they write the story, because knowing that it is this larger story that'll be however many games over however many years over however many platforms, they've got to write in some closure at each one of these games, because if they end on a cliffhanger and you're like, cool, when's the next one coming out? And they're like, fucking, we don't know.
Yeah, like I have to keep checking myself every time I find myself enjoying this thing, because I then have to go, well, right, wait a minute, this is only a small part of a much longer story, so like, don't get your hopes up too much. It's going to be a few years.
It does make me wonder if they, if they're taking creative liberties now with like the in-between story beats, whether or not, I don't think they'll dramatically change any of the major story beats from the original, but I'm wondering,
I don't know. There's some stuff in there. There's some.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm
man.
just wondering if they'll fudge around with some of the details and stuff. I don't know. I could
They
see it
probably should.
happening.
Like, if
I'm just saying.
if they make a better game, fuck it. Like, it doesn't. If they stay super devoted to the original game,
Mhm.
like that's only cool up to a certain point, right? Like, go ahead.
They know that I know what happens at the end of Final Fantasy, and they made this game knowing that. Is all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes me like want. It's like an odd desire to want to do a spoiler cast for this game, because the like end is known, but there's like all this newer stuff that's been added that I need to talk about. And that I
Yeah,
can
and
tell
also,
Ben
like,
needs
you know,
to talk about.
The end of Final Fantasy VII being known is like, you know, if they look at that the right way, that's an opportunity for them to severely fuck with it.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
along the way really fuck with it, even if they end up in the same place, like taking the more they can alter that path to, you know, make it more interesting as you get there, especially for people that know what that story is beat for beat. Like, I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, do you
But
think
then,
they?
you know, I don't have a lot invested in original Final Fantasy VII. So if you were like Final Fantasy VII super fan #1, maybe you'd be like, this isn't my Final Fantasy, like, which I have no sympathy for that person. But
someone's
they probably
gamer
exist.
tag.
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
do they take the chance? Like Jeff, again, having spent time on Usenet in 1998, can probably appreciate this. Like, are they gonna like put the save Aerith code in finally? Like, where are they? How far do they go with this?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes. Do they give people what they want there, and all that sort of stuff? But yeah, it's, you know, it's a remake, not a remaster.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
but even in, you know, what we think of as remakes, it sounds like it's going a lot further than a lot of that stuff, because they have to break it up, because they have to provide some kind of closure along the way, all that other stuff. And that's cool. Like, I don't think I don't know. Like, I'm interested in the game. Like, when you came back with that footage and I watched it, I was like, you know, this looks kind of awesome. Like, there's a part of me that wants to play this, but like, realistically, I don't know that I actually will. But it sounds cool as fuck.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think there's I'm excited for like post game content. I can't be 100% sure there is some stuff, but I know the original Final Fantasy VII is kind of famous for having, you know, all the like weapon mastery stuff. I don't remember exactly.
Those are like bosses. They're kind of ultimate bosses. But that stuff was all like at the very, very end of the entire game. So I don't know.
Right.
If any
But
of
if
that made it
people
in here.
if people have expectations for, I'm not saying those things exactly, but I'm saying Final Fantasy VII has a history of having really elaborate post game stuff, and I would like to hope that they put some of that in here. Maybe not a 1-to-1, but something along the lines. And I think there will be, just from how into they know that people are going to take the combat seriously.
Yeah.
And real quick, Jason, you mentioned the summons being a spectacle in the original. They kept that. The summons in this game are fantastic.
I saw a pretty chubby chocobo.
Oh,
The fat chocobo. Okay, the fat chocobo is fat because it's pregnant. It says it's the symbol.
Well,
of
would you
good
want to
fertility.
fight a pregnant chocobo?
No,
you
I feel
wouldn't.
bad now.
Well, you have to fight it to get it.
I know that, but then knowing it's pregnant, I would not want to send a pregnant chocobo into battle.
Right.
I know. I'm agreeing with you. It's terrible.
That is terrible. How
Also,
do they
there's
get away with that?
there's a certain switch to a specific, not specific character, but like a type of character that we show off in the quick look. I love it. I love that costume. It's great.
Oh, there's so many great costumes. There's a guy you meet. He's a very, very minor character. He like runs a kind of mini game, and his whole look is like denim vest and giant gold chain and cowboy hat and dark sunglasses, and it's just so perfect. There's a chunk of this game, Jason, that just it just becomes God Hand for like
I'm all right
an
with
hour
this.
and a half.
Okay. Yeah, sign me up. I was already on board.
Jan, you mentioned during the quick look, like this game does have, it like feels like I brought up God Hand, you brought up Yakuza. It does have like some Yakuza vibes when you're just exploring the slums. Like they've borrowed a lot of elements from other big Japanese cult classics, let's say.
Sure. And they're weaving those elements in pretty well from as far as where I'm at so far.
Seems all right.
Cool.
Yeah. What else y'all been playing? Anybody got anything hot? All right.
Let's say that.
Okay.
I've been playing more of One Step from Eden.
Oh, I got into that.
I checked it out on Steam yesterday actually, and then over the weekend. And wow, is that a dramatically easier version of the game versus the Switch? Because I don't think the developers had time to push the update towards the Switch version yet. But I was only ever able to get to like the third world in the Switch version of One Step from Eden. But on the Steam side, like I got to like the 5th or 4th yesterday.
Damn.
Kind of like half paying attention to the game. But it was still super punishing. And it's kind of neat how many things in the game are not explained to you, and you kind of have to figure it out. And it's like frustrating and neat at the same time. Like at every campfire you go to heal up, there's always a rabbit there. And I didn't realize that if you kill the rabbit, it will increase your luck, but it'll make everything harder because you killed an innocent rabbit.
Wait, if you kill the rabbit, do all the eggs go away from your island, and then you're only digging up fossils again?
No, they patched that now, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So your loot drops will be better, but like the instances in between the bosses will get harder. I've also go ahead.
I was going to say the first time I played, I didn't know. I was still having trouble remembering what button did what. And the first time I met a shopkeeper, I hit the shoot button. Have you done that? Have you shot the shopkeeper?
I've not shot the shopkeeper.
Give that a whirl if you're having a bad run and you know you're going to die soon, because it's fun.
Yeah, because they have like 3,000 health. Yeah, it's been real fun. Like the developers, like, I think it's just one dude. I'm pretty sure it's just one dude, and they're kind of like working around the clock trying to update stuff, and it's a really neat thing. I like just popping into it for a couple rounds. Sometimes have a good or bad run.
Gotta get that fixed.
It's also, I also like it because now I've unlocked more characters on the Steam version, and they play dramatically differently than
I think that's what I need.
The main.
I was kind of hitting a wall with it in terms of like my biggest problem. I like the game. I'm going to play more of it. My biggest problem is there's so many things you need to keep an eye on, right? You need to have your position and your enemy position down, and you have to be aware where you're shooting, and you have to be aware which cards you have in the chamber and which ones are coming. And you also have to be aware of, like, do you have 2 Trinity stacks for your 3rd Trinity ability, and like your health and your mana, and there's just, and like all that on top of already a difficult game. It's like, it's definitely one of those games where if you want to have a good time, you're going to need to die a lot and have a lot of really bad runs. And then once like stuff becomes second nature, it gets a little easier and you can focus on the stuff that really matters. But
yeah, like the first time I fired up the game, like some of the spell cards like will proc, will like go to a specific crosshair you have like 4 tiles in front of you. And I just, for the life of me, could not nail that in the first, when I was like the first run through of the game. Like now I can pretty reliably hit like the boss characters with that. Because like I was just so used to Battle Network where most of the chips are just like shooting directly forward or like the whole area. Yeah, getting the hang of it. It's still tough though.
I just have to jump in here. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was going to talk about a different game. So if you want to talk about that, so I've been checking out, just looking around, seeing what else is coming out. I've been playing a little bit of a game called Hyper Parasite, which is on Xbox One. I think it's on Steam as well. I don't have that much to say about it. It is a dual joystick run based, so it's like a rogue light dual joystick game that has Avenging Spirit, or what's the Pariah? Is it Pariah? Where the game where you play as the baby and you take over other Geist,
Messiah.
Messiah. Sorry, yes, Messiah. It's that concept, except you're a parasite and you then possess the enemies. So you'll possess a cop, the ultimate enemy, and then you'll have a pistol or whatever, or a different cop and get a shotgun, or a basketball player and then you'll throw basketballs, and so it's like a variety of characters that you eventually unlock over time as you go. And it's like a neat idea that doesn't actually play that well. So originally I was just like, oh yeah, maybe I'll stream some of this, and then I got a little deeper into it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a little dull. I don't know. I might give it a couple more runs to see if it picks up now that I've unlocked the basketball player and a Ghostbuster. But
off-brand Ghostbuster.
Yeah, an off-brand a Ghost Hunter. Sorry, was a proton pack. And see if any of that makes it any better. But other than that, it seems like it's a neat amalgamation of some of those ideas of other games, but not executed as well as I would have hoped.
Right then.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in real fast and say that the overwhelming consensus I have heard is that post-patch, the eggs are still far too ubiquitous. That's just what
still too
what I'm
many
told.
goddamn eggs, man.
I think the change is that it doesn't, you still get your fossils. Like there's still a lot of eggs, but you're not at the expense of fossils.
Oh, you always got fossils.
Okay.
Yeah, you still got fossils.
I have not
just
played
seemed
the
like
game
they were,
since any of these patches hit, so I
it
don't
just seemed
know
like they were a lot.
firsthand.
They were a lot harder to find because you were constantly digging up eggs every time you saw a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had a problem with the eggs. I love all my egg shit. I've got a room full of egg shit.
I feel like the response to Bunny Day has been overwhelmingly negative. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, everybody I know fucking hates it.
I need those little bursts of serotonin, right? Like those little tiny bursts, because there's so many of them throughout the game. And then when you get a negative one, that sucks. That really, I don't like the Bunny Day. I don't like the eggs. I'm done with them. And everything costs so friggin' much. Like, why do I need one of every type of egg? There's like 7 different types of eggs just to build a hat. Come on.
Yeah. You got it. It's all the colors.
Not even that nice of a hat.
Yeah.
I think we'll see, but I'm pretty bummed out. I put a fair amount of money into Animal Crossing because my wife really wanted to play it, so I bought her a Switch Lite when those came out, and then got her a copy of the game. Mm-hmm. And for as much as I have been talking shit about it last week, she fucking hates that game way worse than I do.
Whoa.
Like she probably played 1,000 hours on 3DS or something, and she's talking like she's gonna go back to that one. And go back to her old village and just stay there because she's just fucking hating it. Holy shit! And I don't even know if she's seen any of this egg stuff.
Oh no!
Oh, it's hard not to. You're just tripping over eggs everywhere you go with this.
Yeah, but I think she's went from like playing some of it every night to just being like, I think I'm gonna go back. Like these villagers don't do shit, and. Kind of with her.
Oh, interesting. Is that the thing? Like, I know that in the past there was kind of the ability to become friends with people by talking to them a lot and stuff.
Well, like you would go to their house, you do other stuff. So, in talking with Austin Walker a little bit, as I was talking about some of this, he said that kind of once you get the town hall and Isabel moves in, that maybe it kind of settles down with some of this dumb shit and gets on to being more of an Animal Crossing. So I kind of told her like, maybe stick with it. Maybe build these 3 dumb fucking houses and this stupid bridge, and maybe you'll.
Yeah. So I did the legwork and finally got the 3 houses built. How close am I to the town hall? Does anybody?
That's where I stopped. That's the last time I played. Was I built the 3 houses and have not turned it on to see who moved in yet. Okay. So
yeah, I think once they move in, maybe is when it.
Well, we've got all 3 people moved in now, so I've got the customization workshop I need to do next.
Have you built the bridge yet?
Yes, bridge was earlier.
Okay.
So,
bridge, house.
I forget what exactly it's tied to because I was trying to do so much in just like every single day.
What were the things you could do with villagers in older games?
They'd invite you over to their house. Like they just said more. Like right now, walking up to the villagers and saying stuff, like they just go like, "Hey, what's up?" Like the equivalent of "Hey, what's up" in whatever their language is of like, "Hey, I'm the workout guy. I'm sure I'm working out." But
I've gotten some of that stuff.
You get that. It
seems super minimal. Like
if you talk to them once, they'll have something new, either like talk about somebody else's island or whatever, and then after you get the one unique, they'll start going into that.
Yes. So right now, I still get a lot of people that are just like, "Did you know that Dan's title was this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know that." Everyone's talking about Dan's title. Which yes, Animal Crossing has always done something like that in terms of like, hey, someone visited the island, and I'm going to tell you that I remember them by saying this one very surface level thing about them. That's classic Animal Crossing, at least in the online era. But just over time, it felt like you would get more varied interactions and that sort of stuff instead of just like, oh, you're talking to me again, huh? Like it felt like it took a little bit longer to get to that point with a villager every day where they'd be like, oh, you're just fucking around all the time, huh? Whereas now it's like the third time I talk to them, it's doing that. So I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to like get to that point and see if it does settle down and become that. And I'm kind of telling her like, yeah, maybe if you get through this, it'll become better. But like, yeah, she's maybe done. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that much farther than where you guys are now, and I'm getting to the point now where like they'll run up to me and give me like a recipe, or it's like, oh, here's a street lamp for you to decorate the town with. Like it is starting to get there.
Or if you give them something,
there's
like
a new reaction or something.
Yeah, a couple reactions. So
Here,
far.
let me sneeze in your friggin' face.
I got
one of my neighbors got sick, and I had to deliver her medicine.
Yeah, me too. And I got a shirt for it. It was pretty awesome.
We finally had Celeste show up last night and tell us about shooting stars. So
oh man,
I
need star fragments so bad.
Are those easy to get? I haven't seen anything yet.
The thing I read is that you need to wait for Tom Nook to announce that there's going to be a meteor shower.
Huh. Okay.
Really?
But that could be wrong. I don't know. That was just a cursory glance because I'm in a weird point with this game where I want to discover most of this stuff for myself, but some of it seems so obscure that I would need to look up a little bit here and there.
So an interesting thing that my partner's fallen into is that she's littered her island with flowers. Like every square inch is covered with different flowers she's found. And she was complaining to me that she was watering her flowers and then she ran out of wood. So she was trying to chop some trees down, and she takes her axe to a tree and nothing would fall down because all the tiles are occupied. And she wasn't clued into that. And I just found that hilarious that she had spent like half an hour trying to chop trees down. And she thought like the timer for them was like what wasn't completed or whatever. It was great. She had to terraform her island.
Yeah, we're still having a great time with it. Like Griffin plays on my Switch. Lisa's got hers, and yeah, we go to each other's islands every day and sell fruit. It's a family affair. It's been really fun.
Yeah,
that is what I was hoping it would be, and it's super not.
Yeah, with this being my first one, I don't have any reference, to how the villagers were in previous ones. They seem fine to me.
Just gotta dig out that GameCube. That's the only way to go. I dug out my Wii U for a stream on Friday.
I'll go play fucking Punch Out.
If you want to,
in my village,
you want to play an older, better Animal Crossing or Mario game, then you just got to go back to you got to do it. Got to do the legwork. I finished Doom Eternal.
Wow.
Ask me anything about the last, let's say, 10 hours of Doom Eternal.
I heard those last 3 levels are a doozy, and in particular, there's a platforming section that has given a lot of people trouble.
Really? Is that? I wonder.
Where you have to maybe shoot something while you're swinging around.
No, I can't do that.
I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of like jumping sort of teleport gate puzzle type things in the second to last level. Maybe that's what they're talking about, but there's not really any shooting involved there. It's a lot of like you jump in like a kind of a it's like a glorified jump pad basically. Like they're just sending you flying over chasms, and you have to chain a bunch of those together and like mentally remember how many air dashes and double jumps you have left to make sure you do it all right, and it's kind of a chore. I
mean, how did you how did it wrap up for you?
Man, I'm so torn on that thing. I don't know where to start.
Ripped and torn?
I know, just torn. Me and Natalie and Brulia both have mixed feelings about Doom Eternal. Never mind.
Well, she played on PC, so she
that's
likes
exactly right. Like I don't know where to start with this, but that's probably the best place to start. Is that unlike Doom 2016, I hit a point toward the end of this game where I really started regretting playing it on a controller, and that's
I'm sure
a rough place to be when you're that deep into a game that's pretty long and kind of hard, and you don't have time to start over anymore. Yeah, like I feel like. And again, you probably could do the legwork to remap all the buttons yourself, but like, what do you got? Like Ben, you played on a controller. It's like dash on PS4, dash is on circle.
Yeah.
all the D-pad directions do different things, like change
Right.
grenades.
Weapon mod, change grenades.
Yeah, weapon mods, change grenades.
Show
like,
objective.
Like double jump, like jump, is like basically like face buttons and D-pad have a lot of very crucial, essential, like very like super fast things you need to access at all times. And in a lot of those cases, you're pulling your thumbs off of the sticks at exactly the moment that you can't afford to do that. And like I was just constantly getting boxed in by enemies, and like I just felt like it was too much to ask of a game that was on a controller, So I don't know. I really wish maybe I should try plugging a mouse and keyboard into the PS4.
Yeah, somebody
wonder.
tweeted me and said that totally works for this
Oh,
game.
really?
So.
I don't know. Yeah, I do suspect I would have had a better time with those last couple levels if I had been on an actual mouse. But I didn't have that problem with 2016, and I feel like that's the benchmark I have to judge this game by.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to beat it right now. I think I'm going to wait for like another dry period and maybe go back in from the beginning on a lower difficulty.
Like another thing I would say is to like space it out. Like I was just trying to get through the end of it, which took way longer than I expected. And so like, you've got your hub where you do your upgrades and stuff, and you hit a point of no return. They straight up pop up a message say like, hey, do all the upgrades you want right now because you can't go back here until you finish the game. And I was like, all right, levels are kind of long in this game, but I have one more level. Let's do the hour, 90 minutes, and then I'll be back here or whatever. After that point of no return, it is 3 full-length levels, a boss fight, another shorter level, and then an end boss that takes like 45 minutes. Maybe 30 to 45 minutes for the end boss of that game. And I did all of that in one sitting because I really just wanted to see the end of the game. And it was really too much. It was really too much.
How do you feel where it ends up, like kind of
story-wise?
or any of that stuff?
Most of the meaningful storytelling stuff had already happened by last week's Bombcast, so I already talked about it, like the way they kind of dig into the Doom guy's backstory in a way that I wasn't expecting or necessarily needed. And there's not a lot of story late game. There's a little bit. If you really dig into all the codex stuff, that's where the reveals are toward the end of the game. And it gets into some weird quasi-biblical heaven and hell type shit. But not a lot of payoff at the end of the game. You kind of kill a big epic last boss, and that's it. So, it's also I don't know how much I want to talk about the ending stuff in specific, but there's one of the weirder last bosses I have seen in quite a long time.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. Pretty mixed feelings about the end of that game.
Sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it was a lot to do all in one afternoon.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, real quick. Have you been putting any more time into Neo 2?
Yeah, here and there, and I've been doing it on stream for the most part. It's just that it's a lot right now.
Are you liking it?
I do like the combat. I like the changes of the the yokai form or whatever. But like I said, it's a little too punishing right now, a little too punitive. But
Are there difficulty levels in the game?
No.
You could theoretically turn down? Okay. Because, I mean, it is supposed to be like a Souls, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, they ramp it up really, really quick. Like that first area, felt like, some of the, mid-level stuff in the last game. So they don't take it easy on you, for sure.
I'm going to be looking for something after Final Fantasy. I was wondering if I should give that a whirl.
I really like that series. Yeah, I think it's fun. I like the weapon variety and just all the combat stuff. Like it'll start blowing your mind at a point where it's like, oh my God, I have 3 different stances. Okay. All right. And it's 3 different attack strings for each one. Okay. Wow. All right.
Final Fantasy is a good primer for that because Cloud's whole thing is the 2 stances. So
there you go. And you can have a big sword in this too.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
I was like building Lego for one of the streams last week, and I was talking about Harry Potter, and then someone quickly suggested a game called Broomstick League.
I've heard of that. Yes. Go on.
So I checked it out. It was on Steam, and then I saw that we actually had a code for it, and then I was about to redeem it, and then I went back, and now the website, the Twitter, all completely erased off the internet. Because when I checked it out at first, I thought like, oh, this looks exactly like Quidditch. This must be like some type of weird tie-in.
Hey,
that,
like
I
Quidditch but
know.
Rocket League, right? That was
that was the whole hook of it. And then like I just checked again, maybe it was like down for that day or whatever, and I just checked the Twitter
Oh,
and like
no.
the website, and it's all completely erased. So I wonder if they got like
Turns out it's a cryptocurrency miner.
Oh boy.
yeah. So a lot of just games just popping up lately and just disappearing immediately.
Is it is it gone?
You should try
So
redeeming that code. See if it still
Yeah.
works.
The Twitter
I'll
is
try.
still gone.
Broomstick
Yeah,
League,
I
right?
see something on Steam,
Yeah.
but
Broomstickleague.com.
Oh.
And it
it
leads
is no longer available for sale.
Yeah. Have you been to the
That
Steam
code
page?
might still work. That code might still work.
It says
You
that.
should-
Yeah. Have you been to the Steam page, Jan?
I have not been to
It
the
says
Steam
it
page.
says notice at the request of the publisher, Broomstick League is no longer available for sale on Steam.
Man,
Ah.
they got
Wow.
hit.
Yeah, because it looked exactly
Foxed.
like Quidditch. So
It's pretty close. It's pretty
yeah.
close. So draw your own conclusions.
I'll see what I can dig up with that and the Broomstick League.
Yeah. All right. Well, you do that while we take a quick break. I'm going to fade this thing to black, and we'll be right back with some news. We're back.
Yay!
How was the break?
Here we are.
Feels
good.
good.
Anybody?
Yeah.
I went to find my dog and pet it, but she's gone.
Jeff made me think about that leathery smell of a shoe store during the break,
Yeah.
and how long
Got
it's been
about,
since I experienced that.
Got about 4 more hours out on the doorstep, and then I can, safely bring that cardboard box into the home.
Oh, wait, are
and,
you quarantining packages?
Yeah, a little. Well, when I'm too lazy to actually open them up the right way, yeah, there's definitely like hey, this can mellow somewhere for a day, and then bust open those shoes and get to huffing those shoes.
Get to huffing.
Yeah.
I ordered takeout at a place, and they had 2 trays of pens, ones that were sanitized and ones that were used. So I feel like that's just the world we're moving towards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Waiting for sanitation to happen.
Yeah.
Jeff, you said you have one more game you want to talk about?
Yes. Yeah. I forgot that I played some totally reliable delivery service.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Matt Rory seems to like that game quite a bit.
It's fun. It's goofy. I hopped on a friend's server over the weekend and then played a little bit more single player. The online on the Epic Store was a kind of a fucking train wreck. They had a message up saying like, "Hey, server load is bad. Latency's gonna suck, or latency may suck," and it did. So it's like take the controls of Gang Beasts and put it in a world where you have to carry boxes from one part of an open world to another.
Okay.
More or less.
All right.
And then make it 4-player multiplayer if you want. And, so you have like a box truck and you can back that box truck up and then people can jump into it with their packages. And it's just this madcap, ridiculous. I mean, you could play it super serious, but it seemed like way more fun to be like, oh, if I hold down the B button, which is like the dive to the ground button, eventually my character farts, and if I'm close to you, it stuns you, and then you drop the package, and we have to do the whole thing over again.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, which is like, it's fun. And everything's got basically like, all the vehicles have a joystick in them. So basically you do the grab onto object button, and it grabs the joystick, and so even the trucks are driven by a joystick.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's like a hot air balloon, and so it's just like, so like you're like, okay, well, we could take this truck all the way up this mountain to deliver it, or we could try to pilot this fucked up hot air balloon, and try to have someone hold the package in the hot air balloon and not fall out of the hot air balloon and all this other stuff. So it's pretty fun. I think it's on Game Pass as well for Xbox.
Really? Cool.
Do you happen to know how many people per game it supports?
I believe it is
multiplayer
4.
match?
I believe 4 is the total.
We should maybe take a look at that.
Yeah, and it was free. I don't know if it still is. It was free on Epic for a time. It may still be, so you might have to want to go check that out and see if it still is. But it was like free to keep or whatever.
Wait, it's a new game though, right?
It is new. Yes.
Yeah,
Is that the first time? Is that the first time they've given away a basically new game on Epic? It's usually games that have been out for a while.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like most of their stuff has been not. Yeah.
Like World of Goo.
Yeah. Someone in chat is saying
World
today is the last day it is free on the Epic Game
right.
Store. So
Well, go get
you
it.
should go claim that while
Another reason to watch the Bombcast live.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Hooking you up.
It's totally reliable delivery service. Go get it. They're selling DLC. I probably will buy the
Chat
DLC
says there is a
because
bunch of DLC.
Yeah,
Wow.
But it's all everything I've seen so far, at least, is when you go to the character creator and want like cool sunglasses. It's like you need to buy the fucking fresh, cool DLC if you want to use these sunglasses. And I probably will do that because it's actually it seems like a really neat thing.
Yeah,
So
that sounds fun.
so go check that out wherever free video games are had / subscription service video games are found. It's a fun little goofy thing.
All right, that sounds cool. Okay, I have here this Chrome window full of tabs.
Ooh,
That can mean only
know
one
what time
thing.
it is.
Yeah, that's right. It's time for the news.
Oh, that's
oh,
not
Man, what were you
okay.
expecting?
I don't know.
Hardcore pornography.
Whoa,
Yeah.
okay, that's a different browser window.
Okay.
That's only for during the breaks.
That's only the Brave browser.
We talked about I don't even have Brave installed. I have Firefox.
What? Come on.
It's
Everyone's using
hardcore,
Brave.
hardcore's for Brave, softcore's for Opera.
Okay,
Everyone
yeah.
knows that.
Okay. I heard some questionable things about DuckDuckGo, so
No.
I don't know.
I never trusted DuckDuckGo for some reason. It always presented itself as this very sane thing. Something
You're
about
like,
it always.
I've been online. That's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Well, let's save all this for our forthcoming InfoSec podcast and
Great.
get into some
Yeah.
video game news here.
Exclusively broadcast via Zoom.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh my god.
Check out my cool Zoom backgrounds. Fuck off.
This one's my social security number.
Yeah.
All right. We begin this news section like we will probably be beginning most news sections for a while yet, which is to go through the effects of the ongoing pandemic on various parts of the game industry. I've got so many to choose from, I had to kind of think hard about where to start. I feel like the big one this week is this tweet from @PlayStation on Twitter. SIE has made the difficult decision to delay the launch of The Last of Us Part 2 and Marvel's Iron Man VR until further notice. Logistically, the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve.
It's a weird, because like they're also kind of saying, hey, the game's basically done.
Yes.
So like, what do you think they mean by that launch experience other than it's hard for us to get physical copies into people's hands?
I think that is
That was
pretty
a
much
big
exactly
one.
what it means.
Yeah.
I saw the line like, making sure that everyone gets to play it at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Because
so
if you
that's-
have like a
from
digital launch first and then
Yeah.
retail, people have to wait months.
And
for
that's from a separate statement that Naughty Dog put out, which is a lot longer, which basically says, like, it says, the good news is we're nearly done with the development of Last of Us Part 2. We are in the midst of fixing our final bugs. Even with finishing the game, we were faced with the reality that due to logistics beyond our control, we couldn't launch it to our satisfaction. We want to make sure everyone gets to play The Last of Us Part 2 around the same time, which seems like the key phrase there.
Yeah, and I wonder. So the essential business order here in California, or at least I guess actually in the Bay Area counties, they changed it up in a way saying that businesses that perform essential components but also do other things must strip down to only the essential component, which I take to mean Target can't sell video games.
Interesting.
Because
Really?
Target has groceries, but they have a bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
But if I'm reading that, and I don't know, I've not been to a Target, but I take that to mean that it's not just, hey, video game stores are shut down, but other places are still open and doing curbside delivery like Best Buy is or whatever. I kind of take it to mean like, hey, it's actually getting a lot harder to get physical product out there. And it's tempting to say like, well, fucking who cares about physical product? It's 2020. We're all hiding on the internet anyway. Why not just sell the game that way? But they've probably got so much co-marketing money and other stuff wrapped up in physical launch stuff, and so much money wrapped up in collector's edition, whatever, if they're even doing that, that if they go digital only, then all those retailers get fucked over, and which you're tempted to say, well, fucking whatever. But then that probably means Sony gets left with a bunch of unsellable physical copies of a game because everyone bought it digitally. I don't know. I'm trying to like walk through that and figure out why that actually matters. And that's the best thing I can come up with for stuff in this situation. But
yeah, and like
I don't know.
you've got Square Enix running into the opposite problem right now with Final Fantasy VII because they shipped it to some territories early, and I guess it seems like they did that, to try to get there by release day, but in a lot of cases it seems like it got there before release day, and that's led to a bunch of people out there now going like, "We'll just move up the digital release then," because people are getting their copies. Like, why can't you just let it unlock early? Like somebody is always going to feel burned in this situation if you just throw it out there. Like the only way to make sure, I mean, I guess I can see their angle. The only way to make sure everybody plays it at the same time is to just wait until you know that can happen.
And I guess like the thing I come back to on that is who gives a shit. Like if people get it, like people always get games a couple days early. There's always someone who finds a way. There's break a street date here and there. Like this shit kind of always happens. So I would be like, fuck it, move up the digital release day. And if people haven't gotten their physical copies yet, okay. Like, why does that matter? It's like, oh, what are they going to get spoiled? Like, if that's something they care about, they should stay off that part of the internet and not get spoiled. Like, I feel like leave that to the user and just put that stuff out. If you're going to do that Square method of like trying to get the physical copies out early, I mean, I guess I get it on the revenue end of like, hey, we spent $1 zillion making this game, and if we don't launch it right, we're not going to make that money back.
I do have to wonder if
but
I do have to wonder if Square maybe made it in right before a window closed, where like the downstream effects of logistics going haywire are going to be worse by the time Last of Us was going to come out. Like maybe Sony's
More
got access
people
to forecasts that are saying like, oh well, like if it had been 2 weeks ago we could have done it, but now things are too bad and it's just not going to work out. It's hard to say.
Yeah, could be.
So this happened at least as of this morning, I think, is when people noticed it, because it's not like Sony put out like an announcement about this. It just started showing up. If you go to support.playstation.com, at the top there is a big kind of built-in like notification that says The Last of Us Part 2 and Iron Man VR have been delayed. All digital pre-order consumers will automatically receive a refund. Please check your email for more details.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, they are literally refunding everybody.
They're like, hey, we had your money and we're going to just give it back. Is like, that's not how this shit ever works. I could see, I would have expected them to say, if you want a refund, we will grant them. But to just automatically be like, fuck it, we're releasing all this and we'll have to like get you to buy this later. Like, that's kind of shocking.
Yeah, totally.
But cool.
Like, how many instances in history can you think of a company having people's money and willingly giving it back?
and that kind of tells me that these delays are not a month.
Yeah.
It's not 2 months. Yeah. This is like them going like fucking like or is this doing some Fast and Furious type shit and pushing it way back?
Well, I think it's telling, because Ghost of Tsushima is still scheduled for June 26th, and they did not include that game in this delay. So
when was Iron Man? Was that May?
That was late May. And then Ghost of Tsushima is late June. So presumably, as of now, they think they'll still be able to get it out before that. But
do you think they did the Iron Man VR stuff because people wouldn't be able to pick up a whole headset and whatnot in stores? I guess
that's possible. I don't know.
I could see that. Yeah.
Or
their ability to restock shelves, because like maybe like how many PSVRs have been out there on shelves that would be still sellable.
Right. And then like I guess like Target and a Walmart are probably like the only big box places someone could physically go right now and grab one. I mean, Best Buy is still
doing like curbside pickup for stuff.
Mm-hmm. So is GameStop, I think.
Yeah. So there's still some of that.
Yeah.
Well, like California's in a different situation than a lot of other states. So I think in California, GameStop would be closed, and maybe a Best Buy would as well at this point. But depending on what county you're in, I guess. But
I see.
Some states are like, fuck it, do what you want. It'll all be fine.
Sure.
That's gonna work out great.
Yeah.
Go to the beach.
Definitely doesn't take 2 to 3 weeks to see the consequences of any actions with this thing.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing down this path, we've got a number of other things going on. GamesIndustry.biz reported last week that the ESA, this is not announced publicly, this is their reporting, but The ESA has announced or has reached out to some of its partners and told them that E3 2021 will take place from June 15th to 17th. So they are planning for next year's show, if that is to be believed.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Yeah. What could happen in the next 15 months?
Yeah, like Gamescom hasn't been canceled yet either, and that's end of August, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh wow.
And I think
it's impossible to imagine that happening, and we'll see. You know, we'll see kind of what happens to replace E3 this year, and who does what around that stuff. I mean, you know, I think IGN was maybe first to the punch a little bit with,
yes,
hey, here's what we're trying to do around, instead of E3, we're trying to do this sort of stuff. And you'll see more of that, I'm sure.
Yes. You know who you won't see that from, though?
Who's that?
The ESA.
The ESA.
So PC Gamer reported on this games industry story and solicited comment from the ESA. And while they would not confirm the reporting about the 2021 dates, they did say that the online experience for this year that they have been talking about is no longer happening.
No.
Given the disruption brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, we will not be presenting an online E3 2020 event in June. Instead, we will be working with exhibitors to promote and showcase individual company announcements, including on E3Expo.com in the coming months.
That valued real estate of E3Expo.com.
Exactly. Like, I don't think they need you for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, you know, like that's the ESA. Like, and there probably were some smaller exhibitors that would have benefited from a bundled together, and that's why you see IGN doing stuff like this, and you know, I think different outlets will come together to, or not, the outlets will not come together. Different outlets will put together things where they secure lineups and announcements, and you know, there will be games announced in June.
Yeah,
you know, shit's gonna happen.
Yes,
obviously. But the ESA, you know, doesn't need to play a role in that. Like, anyone can run a live stream, and turns out
I'm doing it right now.
Let's run a lot of them. Yeah. So that's a situation for publishers that are smaller that might not be able to like rise above noise running a live stream of their own. It might make sense for them to be like, well, we're going to be part of IGN's thing or this other thing or whatever. So I think that is how this is going to go. You have to wonder, do you think the ESA was trying to charge for it?
Oh, 100%. Digital thing?
Yeah, because they make a ton of money off
they
E3,
do.
right?
They have to make up some of that revenue, right?
Yeah. So do you think they were going around to publishers and saying, like, you can be a part of our live stream experience for X amount of money? And people were like, yo, I don't know if you know this, but, like, it's real easy to stream shit on the internet.
Look, we downloaded Zoom. We're all good to go. We have these fun backgrounds.
Yeah. Zoom background of that expo center behind me, and then
pay us this fee so you can put the word E3 in the name of your YouTube stream.
The big show.
Yeah.
Everyone get ready for
the big show.
The big show.
Yeah.
It's not half bad. I actually checked out the first episode.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. He's actually a good actor. Who knew?
No, yeah. I mean, Big Show's always been funny. Like, when you be on Conan here and there, and you're like, man, he's a personable ass motherfucker, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, a lot of good acting out of wrestlers over the past week or so, as it turns out.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't worry.
Okay.
Just save it. Just bottle it up.
Okay.
Continuing on with the E3 cancellation stuff, Pete Hines from Bethesda tweeted this last week as well. Given the many challenges we're facing due to the pandemic, we will not host a digital showcase in June. We have lots of exciting things to share about our games and look forward to telling you more in the coming months. So I think it's kind of been like an open question, right, of whether the big publishers that would have had those slots are just going to kind of try to hit that timing anyway and do it, and it sounds like they absolutely are not.
Yeah, I mean, that'll prevent them from having to put together demos and builds of all this other stuff in that tight June timeframe while everyone's still figuring out what working at home actually means.
Right.
Especially, think about developers working on next-gen games. Like,
when you don't
those
have
kits,
if
they've got kits, they don't have a ton of kits,
totally,
right? They probably don't.
Totally.
So it's not like every developer can take one home.
I even wonder if there might be like legal issues around taking all those out of the building, like if a lot of those are if they are obligated to keep those on the premises or something like that.
Yeah, there's. I want to say Nintendo is usually pretty specific with what they want you doing with their dev hardware, particularly before the release of a fucking console,
and are prone to chaining them to a desk.
Yes, they love to lock things down.
They sure do.
Yeah, so that's gonna, whatever. Like, I bet it's hard to figure that sort of stuff out right now, and all that stuff those are all solvable problems over time. But the idea of just like, all right, by June, we got to have demos for Starfield, and
do you think they would have shown Starfield this year? Right, that doesn't mean they won't still, but like, would that have been the big E3 thing? You think?
I don't know. I guess I don't.
It feels like it's time. I mean, they've got that new Tango horror game.
Right.
What is it? Ghostwire Tokyo, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Doom came out. What else did they announce last year?
In theory, they could announce a new Wolfenstein this year.
Oh sure, Wolfenstein 3.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be, it might be too early for Starfield, but maybe they would have some kind of follow up to show on that one this year, potentially.
Yeah. Oh, they announced that new, was it Arcane? It's like a time based. I cannot remember the name of that game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they've got games, like they've got stuff announced. They probably have things to show, but maybe they just spread those out over the whole summer or something at this point.
I think that freedom will probably be good for developers, in a sense, not having to crunch for June, and being able, especially with how close June is right now, and how new a lot of this work at home stuff is. Like, I can only imagine, like, think about the fucking weird tech shit we're still trying to lock down and figure out. Like, now extrapolate that out to infinitely more people, and the gear situation is way different, and dev kits for whatever, like all these different boxes.
Like, making video games is one of the most complicated things on the planet in the most ideal of circumstances. So introduce these challenges into the process, and just all right. So no Bethesda thing in June. Microsoft is going way further. Like, good Lord, man, it's just like some of the stuff is just wild. Microsoft put out a statement less than 24 hours ago, actually. In light of the challenges presented by COVID-19, Microsoft has been closely monitoring the developing global situation, assessing company-wide defense strategy. As a company, Microsoft has made the decision to transition all external and internal events to a digital-first experience through July 2021.
Really?
So,
wow.
And that's Microsoft company-wide. They go on to mention like Microsoft events that aren't related to Xbox, obviously, because it's bigger than just that. But I mean, we're talking blowing past the proposed dates for next E3. They are going to be looking to do. That does say digital first. Like, it doesn't mean there maybe will be no physical component, but that's a long time.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you don't want to say like, okay, we're going to do 4 months, and then 3 months in you realize like, oh shit, we got to delay again or whatever. Like, you want to, it's better to overshoot on this than undershoot, because you don't want to have to announce multiple times that, oh no, actually it's going to be another 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. So that's them getting out ahead of the Gamescom stuff, I guess. But also digital first gives them some wiggle room, because in a sense, like, E3 for them is always digital first, because they're always live streaming a thing before the opening of the show floor. Maybe this means they don't invite people to their press conference and just run that as a purely live stream event. Which, they'll probably do something like that this year. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean they won't have, like, by the time we get to E3 2021, it doesn't necessarily mean there will be no Microsoft presence there.
Right.
There's a lot of wiggle room in that.
Definitely. They gave a little bit of a follow-up statement to Games Industry. For the remainder of 2020, we are embracing the opportunity to experiment with new platforms to provide our partners, customers, and developers the highest quality digital-first experiences. So,
I mean, they've got an Inside Xbox later today. Boom.
Yeah. The internet.
Yeah.
It's hot. All right, one more story in this vein as I wait for this webpage to translate into English. How do you pronounce it? Cero? Is that how you say it?
Cero?
Cero?
How is it?
I've never
Cero.
I don't know that I've ever actually heard anybody say the acronym for the Computer Entertainment Rating Organization of Japan. I mean, it's basically their ESRB, like their rating system.
Yeah.
Has put out a notice of temporary closure. This is the Google Translate text, so not official because the announcement was only made in Japanese, but in response to the government's declaration of an emergency regarding the new coronavirus, the governor of Tokyo requested a self-exclusion by May 6th. In this organization, since external judges visit the office and conduct examinations, it is not possible to conduct examinations at home for staff and judges. For this reason, all work, including screening, including those under review, will be unavoidably suspended from April 8th to May 6th. So,
Meaning those games can't release?
Yeah,
or...
well, I don't know.
Presumably,
I don't know if
that
they can
would
release
block.
them without ratings, but they won't get rated.
Right.
Sounds like games will not get rated for the next month in Japan.
Right,
Seems like a
but-
good time to put a bunch of porno in video games.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's Cero Z.
But if they could release, they wouldn't have that label on the box. And what does that mean for like afterwards when it does get rated? Do they then have to rebox those? Or I
think
Slap a
it's
sticker on.
probably a question of like, typically Sony and Nintendo are not going to let you ship on their platform unless you're rated by your territory's relevant rating organization. So if they're sticking to those rules, those games don't come out.
Gotcha.
Without a rating. If Sony wants to bend those rules and all the other stuff and put them out with a rating pending, because there is a rating pending equivalent in Japan, they could potentially wave those games through and decide to re-rate them after the fact or something. But that could be very disruptive to games shipping if we assume that they're actually back open by May 6th, which Japan seems to have some different ideas about what their version of a lockdown looks like, what their version of a state of emergency really is and what it means. They'll probably just be open by May 6th. That could impact games that would be shipping in June or July or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what part of the process the games get rated in Japan, but yeah.
Wild times indeed.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough pandemic news for 1 week. Let's move on to some other stuff.
Yeah, let's get the good news going.
Yeah. Anybody play Resident Evil 7 here? Because
a little bit.
Yeah.
okay.
I was scared.
Our latest Capcom leak. I don't know what it is about Capcom, but this is coming. This is coming via verified leakers who have put out good information in the past.
Verified leakers.
I'm a verified leaker.
I don't know what video game news is anymore.
Brought to you by Depends, the Verified Leaker Minute.
That's right. Yeah, this is coming
Don't make
from...
me.
This is just do it. Just do it.
I can't. I got to load a bunch of stuff and pipe a bunch of audio. It's not.
Man, what kind of soundboard is it if you can't just slam a button?
It's the routing the audio is actually the tricky part.
That's fair. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that is a problem. Often. This is coming from Dusk Golem, who you may have heard of. He's
I have not,
leaker.
but go ahead.
Well, you better learn that name.
I heard he's weak to ice.
Remember the name, motherfucker, Dusk Golem.
So this was posted on Twitter, but it's reported on Video Games Chronicle, who's affiliated with Eurogamer, and they say they independently verified the news or the information. They're saying that Resident Evil 8 will be out next year. It is a direct sequel to 7, meaning it will be first person again. Still starring Ethan Winters, the protagonist of 7.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like it started as a Resident Evil Revelations sequel or spin-off. But basically the gist of the leaks is that it tested so well internally and they wanted a new mainline RE game out that they decided to just make it RE8.
Okay.
Did you see that follow-up news that it's RE8 Village?
That was going around this morning, and there was like a kind of a not super high quality piece of key art going around with a logo on it that said Resident Evil Village, where the VIL formed a.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, that's a dumb name. Oh, okay,
yeah. So yes.
But what else, Brad? Get to
got-
the juicy part.
Are you talking about the werewolves?
Fuck yes.
It's got like
I am.
it's got werewolves and witches and shit in it. It's the
werewolf.
word.
Yeah.
Give me werewolves.
technically
Give me
not werewolf.
Draculas. Give me Frankenstein's. Give me all of it.
Is it just Darkstalkers? Or is this finally?
What if it's like
Let's hope so.
Underworld?
You wanted to do Darkstalkers out of Capcom. But you never knew how you were going to get it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's that style of supernatural. It also sounds like it'll have like hallucinations and some psychological, like what is real type shit going on.
I'm
talk about
I'm
VR.
going through that daily.
No mention of VR in this.
Like think about where Fast and Furious. Think about where
Full of werewolves.
Resident Evil went after 4. They just went down that like action movie path, that like big blockbustery stuff. Not the best results. 5 and 6 were awful games.
Five's
but
fine.
now 5 is garbage. Now
No,
they
5 is
have
fine.
these. They're just like embracing the campy, like give me a werewolf, give me all of that stuff, like make it supernatural. I don't care about zombies at this point.
Yeah.
Give me
At
a
this point,
werewolf.
they've run out of ideas for how they can make zombies not actual zombies, right? Like they're they're parasites, and now they're
number
this
of
other
dumb
thing.
things they've done to wiggle their way around, like to the point where like that was 6, I think, right? Where I was in Rome. I went to Rome to see Resident Evil 6, and like the first slide was zombies are back.
Did they ever really go away?
Yeah, according to them, they did. But I remember that was the trip where I sat down with the people working on RE6 and talked to them about the nature of numbers on games, and they were like, "Yeah, what is 7? What is 10? It's like what And they specifically mentioned Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy series, and saying like Final Fantasy 10. Like, would we ever do a Resident Evil 10? Like, I would hope we would just move away from numbers at that point.
Nope.
And fucking here we are, creeping ever so closer. But I guess with what RE6 was, maybe you wouldn't necessarily look to those guys for the future of the franchise. I don't know. Maybe they're still working on it. I did not keep track of the development history of the franchise. But
This is
I hope
kind
they
of
do VR.
like, there's no mention of that. Did 7 ever get VR compatibility on anything but PSVR?
I believe that was just a full-on Sony exclusive.
That's a shame. I would like to see that on a PC headset.
Yeah, like that would be the hope, right? Is like, okay, we proved it can work here, and we took the exclusive money, but now that we know it works, and VR is, a different thing on PC than it is on fucking PlayStation 4. Let's go for it, and I would hope that they would. I would hope they would do it. Like that was super well received.
Yeah.
Like, talk to a Mark McDonald about how that's the only way to play that game.
Yeah, he will talk your ear off about how good that thing is in VR. I'm kind of mixed on this. I mean, I've never, to be fair, never played 7, so I can't speak to its quality, and I know people love it, and I would probably like it, but like the RE2 remake is so fucking good. Like I basically consider that one of the best games of the generation. That like I had kind of hoped that was the way forward for Resident Evil, that we would see a brand new game like an RE8
In that engine.
And that's not necessarily that engine, because I think 7 is also on that engine, but that specific style, like that third person action, like that just felt like such a perfect blend of like modern shooting sensibilities and like the old RE puzzle solving and exploration stuff like that.
The reception
could
of
make
3
another
being
game
what
like
it is, like makes you wonder, like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, I
fair.
think you could come up with like how they had all those side games like the Code Veronicas and stuff. I think you could, if it's not Resident Evil 8, make a game like that. That's like a side story.
Sure. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, and also to be fair, I could play through RE7 in VR and think it's better than RE2, and then come out of that saying, yes, first person, this is the way forward. So who knows? But
Maybe I'm gonna get a PSVR.
At this point, like,
at this
wouldn't they
point, I would wait and see what they're going to do with the new
see
one.
what they're
But like all the stuff I want to play are PS4 games, and I bet I can find one for pretty cheap right now. Well, maybe not right
you'd
now,
think
but
that.
yeah.
I would say post PS5 release, you probably could find the old model PS4 or PSVR.
Yeah, but
for...
that's like in the
Well,
future.
they're not going to launch with
now.
They're not
in
necessarily going to launch
quarantine.
with a new headset.
Oh, you're right. Actually, the
So
new
you'd have to wait
PSVR
for
is-
them to update PSVR,
Yeah.
which probably won't happen at PS5 launch. That's
Yeah.
that's a next year thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you could use the old headset with the PS5 when that happens. They already said that, but like,
Sure.
assuming they eventually make a better headset than that thing, while keeping the awesome comfort that that headset has.
Yeah, it is probably the most comfortable headset on the market, at least that I've used.
Yeah, design wise, like definitely like the smartest like put on take off experience of
Totally.
any of those goddamn headsets.
Totally.
I just want to live in Tetris Effect for the next few weeks.
It's nice there.
Safe in there.
It's nice there.
Yeah.
Just wash your hands after.
Be bombarded by jazz.
After you holding a block, once
Yeah,
you
don't hold a block.
you gotta.
Ugh. All right. Next story. Kotaku has got a story out of Gearbox about bonuses for Borderlands 3 that essentially have come in dramatically smaller than expected. And
Employee bonuses,
Yes.
not bonus content for people.
Sorry, yes. This is part of employee profit sharing, which a lot of these jobs are kind of predicated on. Like the story makes it sound like Gearbox tends to pay lower than average industry salaries with the promise of a lot more generous profit sharing on the back end, which is relatively uncommon as far as I know. And essentially, it sounds like employees were briefed last week that the bonuses, some employees were expecting like 5-6-figure bonuses off of Borderlands 3, and the company was essentially told that bonuses that were coming down were going to be dramatically smaller due to basically a mixture of increased costs during development from changing
You
engines.
mean due to illusioneering?
You tell me. I mean, I feel like this story is like massively open to public interpretation. They claim that moving from Unreal Engine 3 to 4 increased development costs quite a bit. They've opened, I didn't realize this, they've opened up a second studio in Quebec. So they're saying that is also increasing costs, and essentially they say the arrangement is that they had to clear all development costs with 2K before they started making any money on the game or any returns, royalties.
Yeah.
And so that has supposedly cut into the bonuses significantly that people were expecting to get. And this was written by Jason Schreier, and at the end of the story, he says, this news, combined with word of Randy Pitchford's hefty bonus, this is from that legal battle he had.
Yeah,
last
back in
year.
That
2014.
lawsuit, that came up in that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a separate incident, but I think it goes to the general feeling of morale around the company. This says, yesterday's news combined with word of Pitchford's hefty bonus has upset a number of Gearbox employees, some of whom say they expect an exodus in the near future.
Oof.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, I mean,
Making themselves disappear.
Gosh, so let's think about it here. So they had to recoup with 2K. Borderlands 2 was a huge seller. It doesn't necessarily seem like 3 maybe did that well out of the gate, but
It's not it was his fastest seller.
but has sold well out of the gate. They got whatever they got out of Epic for debuting there, so that's some money, presumably.
They have to, or they're shutting down Battleborn, so that's going to be a lot of costs, server costs and stuff. That all of those active Battleborn servers.
Can't even keep a straight face through that sentence.
Sorry.
Yeah. So like none of us are accountants, but at the same time, I feel like that $12 million bonus that went directly to Pitchford, combined with this, like, fuck, man, like, what? Why would anyone stay at that studio? Like, especially with how successful Borderlands has been. If you've got Borderlands games on your resume, if you shipped a Borderlands game, I have to imagine that other studios would be willing to talk to you. You're like, okay, well, you guys know Unreal. You have worked on an intensely popular game. Yes, we would love to speak to you over here at this other studio. Come on over. You got to figure that adds up to people bailing on that place. But I feel like that's been like there's maybe exodus is not the right word, but like there've been people getting out of there for a while, right? I mean, they had
Probably, yeah.
there was the project. Well, yeah. So they had some stuff blow up in their face around that lawsuit stuff. That couldn't have helped on the money front. And there's that's all I'm going to say about that.
Sure.
But so yeah, it's that bonus seems like a pretty big culprit right there. But also, like, Randy Pitchford is not has not done he doesn't have a great reputation publicly for better or worse, like, whether that's purely on him or people that have an axe to grind with him that got out there and filed lawsuits for whatever, like, the veracity of that stuff sounds like we will never know because that shit got settled, right? But he certainly does not have doesn't seem like he has a great reputation out there from what is out there publicly. So yeah.
There's a tidbit in the story that essentially says that he told people at the studio who didn't like this news that they could leave. So I'm sure.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Son
If
of
you don't
a-
like it, get the fuck out.
Yeah. That's how it's obviously that's how it's reported in this story. We're just
Sure.
purely going on this. My favorite part of this is the very last paragraph, these two lines, almost as an aside. Gearbox, which is privately owned, has been seeking to go public, according to two people familiar with the company's plans. It remains to be seen how this news will impact that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brad,
Yes.
we've got some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you
In the
pop in the
chat.
Slack. Oh, we both sent it.
We both sent it.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Or do you just want to say it?
Well, sure. This is from the PlayStation blog. See the first images of DualSense,
What?
which will bring the sense of touch to PS5 gameplay.
What?
Yeah, shouts out to Angry Toad 1 in the live chat for dropping the link in.
Shit.
The new
Uh,
PS5 controller.
This
the
looks like
fuck?
shit.
I don't know that I love this.
No, I mean, I like it. Well, okay, but
Huh.
I mean, okay. It looks like they are
Ugh.
depending on the touch stuff for the D-pad and face buttons.
Yeah.
oh
those-
yeah, those aren't buttons, are they?
Wait,
Look at the
what?
flatness. No, I guess they're poking up a little bit, but
Yeah, there's a little bit of depth there, at least for the D-pad.
Okay, if there's a side
okay,
shot.
no,
of
okay,
it.
they're clear is what it is. The D-pad and
Okay.
buttons are clear, so they
Gotcha.
don't surface.
You scared me.
But they don't.
forward-looking features like the share button. Oh, that's the last controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new PS5 controller.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay,
Built-in
from that,
microphone.
we can kind of reverse engineer what we think the box will look like. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be white
it's
and
actually-
black.
Yeah, I wonder.
That's cool that there's a built-in mic.
Yeah, the mic stuff I think was speculated about in one of those Wired stories because there was a fat hole in the prototype controller that
Oh,
looked like
sure.
where you would put something like that.
I like this
There's
line
no-
here. DualSense has been tested by a wide range of gamers with a variety of hand sizes.
Yeah,
They're thinking of me.
yeah.
Oh.
Sorry,
They
I
got rid
spent-
of the share button, and it's now been replaced with a create button.
I'd love to
Oh,
create.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll
you create
that's like launches a map editor, right? Like
can-
I just
you can
push that in any
create-
game and then Dreams launches.
instant snap map.
Dreams is built into the
One
PS5.
button access to snap map. Sorry, I was so busy trying to get this into OBS, I didn't actually look at the controller. What the fuck? What?
It looks like a future AI lady robot that's going to kill me.
Like my first
Yeah,
reaction
totally.
to
It
this
looks like a
is
Mass
I'm
Effect
into that.
murder. It looks like a
Kinda.
Mass Effect or a portal turret.
yes.
It looks like a portal turret.
Dude, yes. If the DualShock 4 is a standard like AR-15, this thing is the Mass Effect plastic future rifle version.
Yeah.
Man, what? I don't know.
I feel like it looks hefty.
Sorry, Jan, what were you saying about there's something about them not being buttons or what?
No, it's if you look at one of the side the one of the other images of the
Or
controller,
they are actual buttons.
like they are actual
Okay.
buttons. It's just that they're
Okay.
clear. So in that front image, they fade in a little bit
Okay,
in a way
this-
that you're like, wait, that's a touch surface.
This side shot
Um,
makes it look a little more like a real controller.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Looks like a little more texture there on the triggers and bumpers.
And was that a
If you zoom in.
USB-C port?
Oh yeah, it looks like
That's cool.
Could be. It's hard to tell.
About time. Yeah, it's definitely a C.
Huh.
Looks
Yeah,
like you got
okay.
some like ridging on the outer part of the thumbsticks.
Love some good ridging.
Mm.
Huh.
The PS button isn't a circle; it's just the logo.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Huh.
Little texture on the back of the handles. Yeah.
Yeah, no more light thing on the front of it either.
Oh, they have a mute button on the below the PlayStation button. That looks like that's a mute button.
This looks like the biggest change that it's not called the DualShock 5, right? Because all the other ones have been pretty iterative of the previous one. This one, I mean, it still looks like a Sony controller, but
Does
to me,
it have rumble? That's the
it's
question.
different.
Oh no. Okay, sure.
I'm typing in. I'm searching the article for words force feedback and rumble and not seeing any.
Oh boy.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Share button. Thoughtful consideration.
This line
Oh,
we also
adaptive trigger.
incorporated. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the Xbox triggers.
Oh.
The vibrating trigger stuff.
Okay. Any idea what the name DualSense is referring to specifically?
Right.
Touch.
I'm trying to figure that out. Like is it
Touch
just-
and taste.
Smell. No.
I mean, they are using it in the frame of the sense of touch is a big focus.
What does that mean? Is it like a multi-touch touchpad? Is that what
Light
you're
bulb-
saying?
It's the
What is dual about it? What is the other sense?
we
You're
concluded
fighting
that the
with your
sense of touch
senses.
within gameplay, much like audio, hasn't been a big focus for many games. We had a great opportunity to innovate by offering game creators the ability to explore how much they can heighten that. That's why we adopted haptic feedback, so HD rumble,
Oh,
a variety of powerful sensations, adaptive triggers, so you can truly feel the tension of your actions, like when drawing a bow to shoot an arrow, which that sounds like either exactly like or some follow-on from the Xbox rumble trigger stuff.
Why does this thing remind me of the RoboCop reboot?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
also made me think of, huh?
Weird.
Rechargeable battery to lessen the weight of the controller as much as possible as new features were added.
I hope it has better battery life.
There's a throwaway line
use the
about it.
phrase, maintain a strong battery life.
Okay. That DualShock 4 battery life, not so good.
Yeah. Built-in mic array, which will enable players to easily chat without a headset.
That's really
So-
cool.
Oh.
It seems like a weird thing to really focus on. I feel like this generation has like moved away from like voice chat, or more players I think have moved away from voice chat. Not to say there's no one voice chatting, but like think about the PS4. Like they put that very half-assed headset, that wire in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was not a focus for them, and now they're like, well, now you can just do it with this.
Could
I
I,
mean, which-
theoretically talk to my friends with my PS controller as a phone?
Can we side talk on a PS5 controller? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? I think the
Yeah.
answer is definitely yes.
Fuck yeah.
But you won't have to because it's got my microphone array, so you can hold it in your lap. You can do lap talking.
Oh?
I love lap talk.
Yeah.
All right.
They say it will be transformative for games. Which
Oh, great.
I don't. Unless
That
there's
would
more
help.
stuff they aren't saying, like this stuff doesn't necessarily seem like a huge. Like it still has a touchpad. It's just like it's different rumble, and it's rumble in the triggers, and it's the microphone stuff is kind of it.
I think it's interesting. They released that like peripheral for the PS4 controller, like the back button touch
Oh, yeah.
thing,
Right? Yeah.
And like this doesn't have any of that. I was
You're
wondering if
right.
that would be like a
Yeah, I figured that
stuff
would have
for
been
the
some kind
controller,
of
huh?
stopgap. Like, hey, if you want to use a PS4 controller on PS5, you need to buy one of these.
yeah.
Oh wait, okay. So they don't even weird. Okay, they kind of undercut their own thing here. It says DualSense also adds a built-in microphone array, which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset. Ideal for jumping into a quick conversation, but of course, if you're planning to chat for a longer period, it's good to have that headset handy.
Huh.
yeah.
So even they're just like, yeah, you can.
Sure.
Weird. A lot of good color options. I mean, having a two-tone controller will let them sell a ton of variants.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's neat.
You think
I
this?
can't wait for the
You think
variants,
this is the
'cause
default
I'm
though?
not a fan of this one.
Yeah, this is probably the default that's in the box, right?
I would
Probably.
assume, but I guess who
Maybe
can
there's
say?
2 versions, maybe.
Yeah.
Anything about 6-axis stuff in the article? No, it doesn't look
Come
like
back
it.
to 5-axis to keep in line with the console.
Yeah.
I still don't remember or know if the DualShock 4 has that. Does it?
Yeah, you can tilt it. Remember, you had to
Motion-based
shake it up
stuff?
like a paint can.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It
Okay.
absolutely. Well,
Like
yes, no, it has that, but it works
Okay.
better if you have the camera because the
Okay.
camera will see the light on the light bar.
Yeah.
But it does have some form of it because Infamous used it,
Huh.
And that's about it.
and that's about it. Yeah.
Have they said anything about DualShock 4 working with the PS5? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I'm not
Well-
seeing anything here that's, too different that wouldn't allow the 4 controllers to work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it also, they don't have a big front light bar anymore.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're not planning to pick it up via a camera. I mean, it looks like some of the light will still leak through the top of the touchpad, but the light bar stuff is on the sides of the touchpad now.
Yeah, that's kind of a
Primarily.
neat design, I think.
Yeah, I like the look of it. That's which they have, that later rev of the PS4 controller added the touch bar color
Right.
or the light bar color to the top of the touch bar, which
Yeah.
was a nice change.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is.
Cool.
The DualSense.
It looks like it kind of looks something about the shape of it reminded me of that fucking boomerang.
Yeah, that was my first
At
thought.
first.
My very first thought when I saw this thing was that looks like a prototype controller that'll never come out, just like the
Yeah.
Batarang from the PS3.
It looks like the PS like they
Yeah, totally.
made the PS4 controller fuck the Batarang.
Yep. Totally.
They still had the batarangs laying around and just repurposed shells.
Yep. So
Do you think they tack another $10 on the controllers this
man,
generation?
I don't know. I mean, same
God, I hope not.
same for games, right?
No, they make up the game money on
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
on additional, like they don't want the base level games to get too much more expensive because they want to hit you up for DLC.
Sure. That's fair. There you have it. I guess this is how things work now. Like the new controller for a new console just gets dropped on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Well, thanks to them for doing it on a Tuesday morning instead of a Tuesday afternoon.
That's right. If everybody in the game industry could have all news out by noon Pacific on Tuesdays, we'd be really grateful.
Do you think that this was something that they had planned all along, or was this the Inside Xbox when?
Let's put it up like 2 hours before or an hour before.
They couldn't even center the picture properly. It was so haphazardly done.
All right. Well, that's out there now. A couple more things in the news before we move on. Rogue Legacy 2.
Yes.
Whoa.
They announced a new
Now,
Rogue
that's a game I'll
Legacy.
pay more than $60 for. I
Very
shouldn't say shit like that out loud.
like very little information about it other than that it looks like it's a whole lot like the first game. I
I like the new art.
that's the main reason I wanted to talk about it is I think that the new art style looks fantastic from the couple shots they've shown.
They got that kind of nice hand-drawn, kind of cartoony
Yeah,
stuff
it's-
going
yeah,
rather
like
than the
it's-
pixel.
But yeah, it's not as pixelated as the first game. It's kind of got more texture and like depth to it. I think it looks super nice. I will absolutely play that game.
Yeah, what I said earlier was like, that game was huge for roguelikes. A lot of games kind of took elements from that and moved on. It was, to my knowledge, the first popular one that had some sort of progression tied to it, like going back and spending gold on your upgrade tree. And a lot of roguelikes have come out since then and brought even newer ideas to the table. So it's interesting to see if what this one's going to take from those and kind of see if they try and iterate on it even more.
I think Rogue Legacy was the first game I ever heard the term roguelite applied to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that thing looks good. Okay, last 3 bookmarks in this window for the Bombcast news. I'm just going to read the titles of the pages in order. Atari Casino, Atari Token, Xbox co-creator Rob Wyatt sues Atari for failing to pay him for design of VCS console.
Atari's token, all right.
Those are the three. This is the Atari minute.
Brad, unfortunately, I wasn't able to read the Atari news or the Atari hotel story because it was blocked by
The casino.
Yes.
The casino link.
The casino. Sorry, not the.
Yeah, so that's casinoatari.com, which
It's
says
blocked by the CBS protective
new
firewall.
new crypto casino. It says.
And the CBS pop-up for when you click on that site, if it's sent to you in your CBS email, is like, this is either trying to phish credentials or it has malware on it.
Wow.
Like, it's not like,
Why not
hey, this
both?
might be a casino. Hey, this might be like this isn't a site you should be looking at work. It's literally like, dog, the site's gonna
Don't go
fuck you up. Don't go here.
Well, I got it raw right out of my bookmarks, so I'm looking right now at this page that says, if you want to buy Atari token now, token presale is live. We accept Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Oh my god.
I like that they're just like sidestepping the whole process of having to like take real money and what that means by just saying like, oh, we'll take these other currencies that are highly fucking unregulated.
Oh, they'll take cash. I can tell you right now.
Will they
that
take cash?
We are in the presale round 1 when a single Atari token is valued at 8 cents.
But you can only pay them in Bitcoin.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I guess you're right.
8 cents of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I guess so.
To get it right.
We're all laughing now, but 6 years from
But we'll be rolling later when that thing is up to $1 zillion and we don't have any. That's when
there's
the
no
laughing
more
really starts.
USD only token.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have I love on the Atari token. Oh, also I forgot to mention this for the Atari token. The address is atarichain.com.
Oh boy.
This is all them making good on a lot of things they announced a while back.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the,
Yeah, they've been
the
talking
Atari
about this
token
for a
and
while.
the casino stuff is pretty old at this point. But yeah, the idea that they're this is Atari, right?
Yeah. And then I also, last thing, I like that the Atari token site has a link to their white paper, and if you click through, it's just a single-page PDF that just says "subject to non-disclosure agreement." No actual,
Dope.
no
Really?
actual information.
Huh.
And then lastly, the guy Rob Wyatt, who was the system architect of the original Xbox, and also was the lead architect on this VCS console that they crowdfunded, is suing them for over $260,000 for both breach of contract and defamation, claiming that he was unpaid for over 6 months of work, and then publicly they blamed him for the delay of the console. So,
Excellent.
yeah. So
They went back and forth a while ago, right? Because I remember there was talk that he was out. I thought that there was maybe a story a while back. Maybe it was a different person, but I thought it was him saying that he was no longer there, and that was a thing where people were like, oh, there's no way this thing is shipping, is it? And now it sounds like he's finally filed suit. I think that might be
Yes.
what this chain of events is.
Yes, in federal court, VentureBeat sought comment from the CEO of Atari, who said he had not seen the lawsuit, and that was it. So there's your
Get that
Atari
lawsuit
minute.
on the blockchain so we can see it.
That's right. There's your Atari update for the week. I'm sure you're all.
Do you think you'll get a discount at Atari hotels if you use Atari token to check in?
What's the point if you don't?
Yeah, right. I mean,
Got to
Fine.
synergize this diverse
mine-
portfolio.
can I mine Atari coin from my Atari VCS? That's definitely coming out and is certainly a real thing.
Oh, what if that's just built right in on the dashboard?
Oh, it will. Maybe it will be. They just won't tell you about it. Got analytics that tell us more about how you use the Atari VCS.
So we got a lot to look forward to in the coming months.
As more and more people spend time on the internet a lot, and more of those people are not equipped to handle the realities of the modern internet, I worry that we're going to see a lot more, like a big rise in online scams and flams.
I can't wait. Flam me up, baby.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, we need to take another quick break and get flammed for a couple minutes, and then
Yeah.
we'll be back.
Gotta
with
turn my
some,
cam off.
with some emails.
mail.
Make sure you turn off those cameras.
Yep.
We'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's time for the
We're
emails.
back.
We've made it to another week
Finally.
of emails. It's your favorite time of the week. I know, you can admit it.
Bap, 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 doo, 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 doo.
All right, good. I'm glad
Ba-da-ba-da.
we're all on the same page because I've got an order of point of order to start with. A little business to take care of.
Okay.
Just going to read the first two emails. Bombcast@jabomb.com is the address. Here are the two emails. First one's from Matt. Just going to put in a respectful request that there not be any more music underneath the podcast. Once everything is encoded, it just ends up being distracting noise. In the headphones, it actually drives me batty while on speakers. It makes it more difficult to make out what people are saying. I actually couldn't finish either podcast from the past 2 weeks. Second email from Ian. Just wanted to say that I really like the new email music. Please keep it up. Those are the
What do we do?
Those are the two emails I got about music this week. The audience is split 50-50.
Right. So what do we do in that case? Just
don't
wait
know.
for half of
I
the
don't
email
know.
segment?
I don't know.
Just mute
You're
it and
like,
unmute it periodically.
We got exactly
There you
If you
two
want to take the
diam-
live, if you want to take the live chat response, which they're just bad take city, but also they seem like they're all for it.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
love the music.
I mean,
It might be the one time they're right about a thing.
I'm reluctant. Yeah, Chad is definitely an agent of chaos in most cases. I mean, I'm reluctant.
I'm making a poll.
I'm reluctant to do anything that makes the show unlistenable for anybody. But
Yeah.
I really like doing the music. All right. Let's move on. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
What do you're the one who would play the music. Like, what's
I know, so
happens
that's
is
going
not
to keep people in suspense. Also, I need you
Okay,
to
all right.
I need you to be talking while I take care
okay,
of it.
great. We'll never know. We'll never know.
As promised, I can't find the email about WrestleMania, but somebody wrote in about WrestleMania. Here it is. From Greg.
one?
I'm thinking you all may cover it before emails. Luckily, we did not. But I'd love to hear the
Luckily.
team's thoughts on WrestleMania. I found much of it hard to watch.
Okay, so there's two pre-taped. Well, I mean, they were all pre-taped, but the more scripted matches, the Boneyard.
There are two
match.
good matches on that show. Or
Yes.
two. Okay, there are two fantastic matches on that show. There was maybe like one other match I liked, one or two other matches that I thought was like, okay, well, that was like fun. The rest I couldn't get into.
It made me realize how essential a live crowd is.
Totally. Yeah. It sounded and felt like there's a lot of grunting going on, and that's accentuated by the silence in the auditorium. So it made it very uncomfortable to watch. I don't like it. I don't know.
I do-
Not having a good time.
Yeah.
But it was
I like the
kind of
two
wait to
nights.
the cinematic stuff. That was fantastic, of course. But
Yeah.
the in-ring action, little suspect.
Well, it was fine. It was just hard to. I was when they first started doing shows with no audience. I was all about it because it was like, man, these like
It's different.
because the promos were more intense. They were like
Sure.
a lower level. They were at that Jake the Snake Roberts low dialogue level, not just people fucking going hog wild dumb, except for like a Mojo or Gronk, I guess. But like WrestleMania is not about promos; it's about matches. So it became more of like the matches felt to me like there's this old video. It's like secrets revealed inside the pro wrestling industry, and they do a bunch of they have matches or in the process of talking about how wrestling really works. It was like made in the 80s or early 90s or something. They show a bunch of like masked wrestlers doing stuff in an empty ring, and it all just reminds me of that. And I found myself just always listening to like try to hear if I can hear them calling spots, which I didn't pick up too much of that. But also, if they were audible, since the shows were pre-taped, they could always go back and edit it out. I think they should have maybe. I wish they would have taken advantage of the format more. Like even that Edge and Randy Orton match could have been, let's say, a quarter as long.
Yeah, they have all the power of editing on their side now. And I know now they kind of worked themselves into a corner because they changed it to 2 nights, but like a lot of the stuff could have been much tighter. Maybe
That
not
show
like
was
the-
not too big for one night.
Yeah,
That show was barely big enough for one night with that stuff, like the story. And I think even if they had a live crowd and everything was normal, like the storylines that they worked themselves into for WrestleMania, I think were largely uninteresting. So I think a lot of those matches just felt cold, and the lack of a crowd didn't help. But
I also thought it was weird they still stuck with like the hard cam for most of the matches.
yeah, right.
Like pull a lucha underground and like I don't know, give some weird dynamic angles to
Well, they did some of that like
the stuff.
I feel like on the TV shows leading up to WrestleMania, wasn't there was that one shot that was like behind Baron Corbin's back,
Yeah,
like flung
right.
Elias to the ground or something. Like they needed to go more halftime heat, that like Mankind Rock match where like there's the first person shot or there's the close up shot of like was it like the Rock getting crushed by a fucking forklift, like lowering on him going and like it needs more of that. Just like embrace it, just be full dumb with that stuff. I think that's why those two matches. Well, the Cena Bray Wyatt match is a different thing entirely. That's like that Undertaker AJ match where they're like kind of doing a wrestling match outside. Like that was them finally understanding the final deletion. That was them finally understanding what makes that type of match work in a way they never got with that match with the New Day and the Wyatts.
Yeah.
And that fucking Randy Orton Bray Wyatt match with the fucking bugs or the fridge and all that other dumb shit.
I've kind of been soured on like the Undertaker for the past couple of years because he's not able to perform at the level he was able to. But oh god, watching the Boneyard match made me so excited to see what they're gonna try and do with him for like the next couple of years. Because now you could have a match with him and Sting, right?
Yeah, totally. If you're pre-taping that stuff and like, oh, let's take 10. Let these guys catch their breath. All right, let's go. You can do whatever with whoever. So then they make movies, pal. You could do all kinds of stuff.
God, I am so much more invested in like American Badass, angry old man Taker than dead man Taker.
Oh yeah. To the point where like him like making fire appear and stuff like that was maybe like the stuff that match didn't need.
Yeah.
Like it was just a good old fashioned ass kicking, and then the old man gets on his motorcycle and fucking rides away. He'd be like, "Yeah, man, fucking awesome. Yeah. Now that's an American Badass."
The Firefly Funhouse
music. Yeah.
It's weird to call that a match and say that Bray Wyatt won it.
There was a 3 count.
Yeah, there was a 3 count. It's just like a weird retrospective of Cena's career,
and like this
weird commentary on like the kind of the backstage dealings with like McMahon and stuff. Like
occasionally nuanced takes on Cena as he relates to Hulk Hogan.
It sounds like the cops are here. And it sounds like they wanted to arrest you guys for talking about wrestling for 45 minutes.
No, the cops love it. No, they
Big
love
Boss Man?
That's Scott Steiner. That's Big Papa Pump pulling up.
They're almost done. They're talking about Scott Steiner. That's usually one of the last things before they finish.
Yeah, no,
I also hope Scott Steiner's okay.
That's Scott Steiner showing up to talk about his CD, Freak Tunes, the Big Papa Pump soundtrack. Whether you like his peaks or you're one of his freaks, Scott Steiner's got music for you, such as Enter Steiner. Basically, all these tracks have sirens over them. Almost all of them.
Is his ad-lib holler if you hear me?
I think a couple of the tracks have it. And then there's a logo inside here that's printed upside down for whatever reason, but it's the official Scott Steiner logo.
Why is that within arm's reach?
Sunglasses and facial hair. That's all you need.
Because I got it out. Because I needed to get it out of my car, so I could get the Scott Steiner flax.
We need a shirt like that.
We need a shirt that just says Scott Steiner's flax.
All right. Time for a new email, I think. This needs to be addressed anyway. I almost put this in the news, but here we go. Tim from North Carolina. Have any of you heard about the new Cooking Mama game and allegations that it is mining cryptocurrency while it's running?
Is it good?
I've read a few articles about it, and nothing seems conclusive. Wondering if any of you know anything about this. Thanks, and I hope you have a nice week.
I managed to order a copy of the game that I hope shows up.
Yeah, did it ship?
I haven't seen a shipping notice yet. Because it says it'll show up on Friday. I've seen people with pictures of copies that they got at different retail places as of like yesterday. So it sounds like there are physical copies out there. So the story is, that it went up on the eShop and immediately got pulled.
Yeah.
And then people started connecting all types of dots because when this game was announced, it was announced by a company called Planet Entertainment, I believe is the name. And the press release they put out talked all about the blockchain. And how we got a new Cooking Mama, we're putting Cooking Mama on the blockchain. You know, it wasn't about mining cryptocurrency. It was like there was little bits and pieces about like we want to maintain value throughout blah blah blah. You know, the same thing that like I get tons of pitches about. It's not always like every game's doing a cryptocurrency. It's like we want your in-game items to have real value, so we're going to put them on the blockchain because that's a way that they sucker people into investing in their company because the blockchain is hot. The block is hot also. And so you had all those people connecting those dots and just assuming like, oh, when you run it, the fans spin up and it's definitely mining cryptocurrency and you got to delete it right now. It's like, you know, some fucking Discord screenshot went around, which is, you know, that's proof these days. And so over the weekend that started spiraling out of control, which just seemed like bullshit. There are so many other potential explanations for why a game might vanish. And I put it at something more like what I was saying about the reasons for the Last of Us delay is like, well, maybe since they can't get physical copies out there, that maybe that would be an issue. And now there's another story going around citing an anonymous developer who talked to Screen Rant and basically said that the owners of the Cooking Mama IP they are trying to prevent the game from being released by the U.S. publisher or developers because the quality is shit.
So that might be why it was pulled down.
Yeah, that there's that basically implying that it went up and then Office Create, the people who own the IP, went to Nintendo and said, you got to pull this down right now. And they just did. And so potentially some legal battle around that stuff. But yeah, there's the anonymous source talking to Screen Rant had a lot of detail about the development of that game. It's like, it'd be fine. Like, it's probably, you know, it's a Unity game. It's not necessarily well programmed. And maybe that's why the fan spins, you know, like that sort of stuff. You also saw, and again, this is not any more proven than I guess that other Discord screenshot, but there was someone who I guess had gotten their hands on the game and started disassembling it and said, hey, there's, you know, I've found no evidence of a miner or any kind of crypto anything in here. So take that for what it's worth, which is like, who knows? I don't know who that person is.
Of course, that's what he'd say.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, he's out there mining it all for himself.
Right.
So it seems like a bunch of bullshit, but people love, you know, the story of, hey, a new Cooking Mama game is installing a miner on your Switch is just too salacious, and so it spread like fucking wildfire.
Yeah, and then the second it came down off the eShop, it lended validity and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that was the thing that got people wondering. It must be because of this, because they were finding, because that press release got removed from a website. It's like, oh, they're trying to hide it. But if you Google this, you'll find it. If you looked it up, this website that posts press releases, they found it. And like that sort of shit. It was just like, guys, fucking just sit down. Take a fucking breath and think about this. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'll get my hands on the game and we'll see what it does. Sure. Hopefully that copy ships, because now I almost want to leave it sealed. I don't know. But it's hard to believe that something like that would get through Nintendo's lot check. Sure. But hey,
always something forbidden about an unreleased game that you can get your hands on.
It's like the NBA elite of it of this generation.
Makes you feel like you're getting away with something. Speaking of getting away with something, I almost brought this email up earlier on. We were talking food. It's from Alan in Ardmore. Trader Joe's chicken sausages come in packs of 5. Their plain rolls come in packs of 8.
Oh, damn it.
What do you do?
Oh, this.
You make my new favorite quarantine food, a hot dog bun grilled cheese. What food concoctions have you all made to avoid wasting food or exposing yourselves to the dangerous outside world?
We've been busting out the bread machine and making a fair amount of bread. My wife made some tortillas the other day, and it was like a whole wheat. And one of them was a little thick. It was a kind of a thick tortilla, and it came out like ever so slightly pancakey in a sense. So I went and got some syrup.
Ooh.
Because I've been fiending for pancakes for a while. We don't got. It's probably not going to get pancakes anytime soon. and it was close. It was pancake-esque, which is a weird thing to say about a tortilla, but it happened. I made it happen. I needed it to happen.
I had some leftover pasta, and then I realized I had a bunch of tortillas left over in my fridge. So I made a pasta quesadilla.
Fuck yeah!
And wow,
It's pretty carby, but sure.
it was really great.
Yeah.
I felt energized the whole day.
That's like when I used to order from Domino's and would get pasta in a bread bowl. Let's just fucking go well past living moss
And then,
into whatever's beyond that.
what is Spanish for most?
Mossist.
There you go.
I appeal to the masses.
I'm going to steal a suggestion from the chat. An alternative, a counter solution for the sausages and buns issue. Just buy 40 of each, and you're fine.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
We should be, obviously hoarding is the mentality these days.
Yes,
So.
indeed. Another food email. Brian from Maryland asks, are chicken nuggets just meatballs?
Sure.
No,
Most meatballs are not breaded.
Well,
What if they
Well,
were?
a lot of
breading
you
inside of
from,
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
but they're not deep fried.
But what if they were?
Well,
They're
I know
not
what I got to
bald.
do.
Yeah.
I think it's closer. I would say it's closer to. No, that doesn't make any sense either. I was gonna say it's closer to a hot dog than a. But no.
All right.
Is a hot dog like a meat dumpling?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like in a casing or like.
Yeah.
How about a chicken nugget inside of like a pastry covering instead of breading?
I miss the Giant Bomb test kitchen,
Yeah.
where all of these dreams could become reality.
You got to go break into that thing. See if you can get in there anyway.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it.
I could really go for some corn dogs.
You guys did the dishes before you left, right?
Oh no.
Oh, gross.
All right. First thing when you get back is go film the dirty dishes.
The giant bomb test kitchen.
Oh man, don't go near
That's where it
that.
started.
You gotta find
It's
some.
fine. GameSpot hangs out there too. They can
Find some
maybe look at it.
Find some hazmat suits before you get in there.
I am really bummed that we don't have access to it. I had an extremely dumb idea that I was working with Jan on that.
Do you want to share that idea?
No, because I still want to do it if we ever go back.
That
I
game
want
will
it
be
to be a
back in stock
surprise.
and relevant at some point anyway, so.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, that idea.
Yeah.
I was talking about the
Or Doom.
next Jan Can Cook and Animal Crossing Doom thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring that up? No,
We already
still wanna
talked
try?
about that.
I don't think we have.
I don't
Never
remember.
mind. One day.
We'll work this out.
One day we'll eat again.
Maybe.
Onion Ring Fit Adventure. Oh,
Whoa! Holy
No,
shit!
that's not it.
no, I just saw that in the chat.
Oh.
Man, that's intense. Speaking of intense,
Told you,
here's-
a lot of bad takes in there.
Yes. Burning question from Alexander. Who puts the nudie mags in the woods?
My uncle.
Uncle.
Jason's
Yeah.
uncle. Man, Jason's uncle really gets around.
He
No,
did.
kids do. They steal them. They need a place to hide them. They can't.
Right.
They can't put them anywhere where the parents will find them. So they got to find a log or a stack of old tires from someplace to.
Totally.
All kinds
I
of
kept
places.
mine out in the woods. Yeah.
What happened when it
I
rained?
did.
What happened when it rained?
Well, you put
had
it
to start
under
over.
stuff.
Yeah,
You put
or
it under
yeah.
a rock or something, or
Try to find a tarp and cover it
Yeah.
with leaves, and yeah, I get it.
yeah. I would steal them from my uncle and then hide them out in the woods.
All right. Good to know. Question from Chris in Texas. I played the original Doom quite a bit as a kid, but never managed to get more than a few levels in before using cheats, and I certainly never beat it. So with the original games re-releasing along with Doom Eternal, I decided to finally sit down and play through Doom in its entirety. I quickly fell into a rhythm and ended up playing through it in a single evening. It was a blast, and I was stoked to jump into Doom 2 the next day. However, after a few levels, I quickly lost my enthusiasm. Sure, there were a few new weapons and enemies, but I found the game to be a step backwards from the original in many ways. My main complaints are with the music and level design, specifically all the low light areas. So here's my question. How well was Doom 2 received when it was originally released? Jeff, do you have any recollection? Like,
I am with this emailer in that I think the level design in Doom 2 is significantly worse.
Okay, like I was in ninth grade when Doom 2 came out. I was certainly not like in the industry, so I don't know what the critical reception was. Or
yeah, I mean, I was barely doing anything real at that point. But yeah, no, people were excited for it. I mean, the super shotgun has become iconic.
Sure.
Like it was a good multiplayer game if you were so equipped to play it. Yeah, there were not a ton of complaints at the time.
Okay.
Like people were excited to get their hands on more Doom, but it was very much here's more Doom with a new gun and a couple of new tricks
like
here and there.
2 new enemies or something.
Yeah,
Three
and not
new enemies.
episodic. Like they went straight to that was like Doom 2 was never a shareware game, right?
Yeah, no, that
It
was
just
GT Interactive put that out.
right. So instead of it being broken up into multiple episodes, it was just like here's a set of maps.
Yeah.
And a singular kind of campaign that took you through all of it. But yeah, I don't like the level design in Doom 2. I think I like the first level of Doom 2.
Yeah,
and
I like the
that's
music in the first level.
about it.
Yeah.
These days, but at the time, yeah, no, people were just like, "Fuck yeah, more Doom." So
I get it. I can identify. Also, the Archvile in Doom Eternal is one of the most hateful enemies I think I have ever had to fight. I don't know if anybody got that far, but another old game question from Spencer in Miami. Will we ever see another non-online Phantasy Star? What would that even look like? Watching Jeff unlock suit slacks in PSO2 makes me think it would be a bad idea.
I would love to see them try. I mean, I would love to see them go back to, but like that would be, what would that be? That would be like, what is Dragon Quest doing these days? What is Final Fantasy doing these days? Like, I would expect that they would. I would want them to make something that was faithful to the old Phantasy Star games, and that would be to make a big old cinematic modern JRPG, which then I would be like, I'm not gonna play this because I don't tend to not play that style of game anymore.
A cinematic JRPG in which you can get married and have children, and then they do the things, and then they get married.
Oh man,
Totally.
fuck.
Did you play that game?
I played all the way through 3.
Wow. Was that shit actually like all it was cracked up to be? Because I remember there was like a big marketing push around like, hey, you can get married in this game and have kids.
So depending on who you chose, like you would get a different playable character in the next generation. But the changes were not always dramatic in the storyline. So it was, you saw the moving parts of it quite easily. But it was still cool. I'll say it again, man. People shit all over Phantasy Star 3 these days, but I really liked that game when it came out.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
not as good as 4, but
so yeah, that was
it's
4 was. By the time 4 came out, I was not in a position to pay that kind of money for.
Yeah, I was gonna say Phantasy Star got too expensive for me at some point.
Yeah.
Sure.
Could not pay $100 for a game.
And I was kind of moving on to that money was going into new consoles or pushing in that direction, I guess, as we were getting closer to that stuff. So maybe I was just buying PC stuff at that point. I don't know. But yeah, everyone says Phantasy Star 4 is tremendous. Like I kind of want to. There's like some back of mind thing of just like, man, I really should see that someday, but I've never spent much time with it.
Hey, now we have the means.
2 and 3. Right, yeah.
A couple more emails. Chris from Chicago. If you had to make a gamer Monopoly, which iconic gaming items would make up the pieces? You can only choose 8 like real Monopoly. Also, there's already a gamer version of Monopoly, but let's just ignore that for now. I would like to start.
Dick from Hot Coffee from GTA.
Now we have our podcast title. He did say I would like to start by nominating a mushroom from Mario, but I feel like we could do better than that. I don't know.
The L block from Tetris.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that would stand up well on a board.
Awesome Possum from the hit game Awesome Possum Kicks Dr. Machino's Butt.
How about the boat?
A game about recycling.
Okay. How about the boat from Jaws?
Sure. Yes. Why not the boat from Jaws?
Okay.
Frogger.
Buck Bumble.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. How about what if there was just an item that represented the title screen music from Buck Bumble?
Yeah, that's what I'm
wasn't
wondering if
actually
it's
Buck
better.
Bumble?
Like Buck Bumble Avenue would be a better property, and it could play the song when you land on it or something.
Yeah.
What would the
Yeah.
railroads be? The 4 pillars of
For, like
Monopoly.
fast travel points. What are your 4 favorite? What's the top 4 fast travel points in the history of video games?
Probably something from WoW, right? Like the Sanctum of Calathorus.
Yeah, the Sanctum of Calthoris. That was everyone's favorite vanilla WoW fast travel point. You nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
That and Stranglethorn Vale. Yeah, what's like 4 big transportation hubs in video games, or like central thoroughfares?
Warcraft mounts.
Yeah.
They could just be like the 4 famous video game ships, and you get like the airship from Final Fantasy. You got like the Defender ship.
A Vic Viper.
Okay.
Vic Viper.
All right. Oh man, I would
The
always
Bloodwake ship.
I would always want to play the Vic Viper.
Yeah. The boat from Bloodwake. Yeah, the boat from Jaws. Maybe it does double duty.
Yeah.
What's your park place?
Is that like locations from the Mushroom Kingdom? Is
Yeah,
that,
that's
the
got to
most
be like
valuable?
the Mushroom Kingdom.
Or is it like a Tetris well and another Tetris well? Or is that the most valuable? Not only like a picture of Minecraft. Minecraftville.
It'd be Tilted Towers from Fortnite.
Oh, good.
There's already a Fortnite monopoly.
Of course there is.
Of course.
All right. Okay, 2 more emails. Here we go. It's our Tumwater minute.
All right.
Tumwater.
Play the Tumwater music.
Let me put on the theme song. By God, that's Nathan from Tumwater, Washington's music. Hello, what American sports league will be the first to resume?
PGA.
Well,
XFL.
wrestling never stopped, so
Yeah, well, they don't have crowds, though, so... XFL was definitely my first thought, but I don't think that counts as a sports league.
Yeah.
It's too
you hear
extreme.
about Dana White buying a private
Yeah.
island for MMA fights?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Pulling his Fame Douglas.
Or his Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see golf or tennis just because of the,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could see something like that. I'm trying to think like
serious answer.
when does football start? Normally.
Fall, probably.
Monday night.
Isn't it because Madden comes out late August, and isn't that like right before football
sure.
starts or something like
yeah,
that?
that makes sense. September, probably.
September.
Yeah, so maybe like a delayed NFL season start or something like that. Maybe
Sure.
they're the first ones back.
I could see the NBA trying to come back and continuing this season, because like a lot of NBA fans are like, how could you postpone the season? They were doing so well. Blah blah blah.
Like, because fucking shit happens, dumbass.
Because like 12 players got coronavirus.
A whole team almost got corona.
Yeah. Well, they should just forfeit, and everyone else should still play.
Oh boy.
All right.
I could see
go ahead.
realistically, I think I could see baseball coming back because of like most of the stadiums are open, and I don't know if that would have like an actual effect on anything, but I could see like a closed stadium where like air is just being recycled throw people off, but like in a baseball stadium where it's like kind of openish, I could see that being okay.
You still got some drunk coughing on the back of your head.
Nah, that's true.
It's the true
Section off
stadium
every other
experience.
row.
Yeah. Just like baseball is most of the season anyway.
Yeah.
In plenty of markets.
Yeah.
Plenty of room.
All right. Last email. Kyle from Indiana. Considering a lot, if possibly all upcoming games will experience delays into next spring, should we just go ahead and start the Game of the Year discussions now? All right. What's the Game of the Year? Animal Crossing.
Grand Blue.
As of right now, what is the best game of the year?
Grand
The
Blue.
Final Fantasy.
Does
game
it
is
have to
pretty
be
cool.
out? Here's my dark horse pick, like that would probably be on my list if they add a lot more to it, because I blew through what was in there in 3 hours. But I really like Scourgebringer.
Oh,
I really like that game.
okay, sure, that's one.
What have we quick looked this year?
I know, right? Like, I mean, the first 2 months were like so dry. There was very little that I can even remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Grand Blue came out at that time, and I can't think of much else. Dragon Ball
Honestly,
Z,
also, I
DBZ
really like all
Kakarot.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really like all the Apex stuff they've been doing with the new timed events and stuff. I think that stuff's real cool.
Warzone is technically a new release that came out this year.
Yeah, Warzone's pretty good.
Dreams
somebody in the
technically
chat
came
said
out this
Ori.
year.
Oh, yeah,
That would
Dreams.
be in my list.
Dreams, yeah. Or I need to play more Ori before I could say for
Yeah.
sure, but that might be up there for sure.
One Punch Man came out.
Oh,
Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Dota Underlords.
oh boy.
Oh yeah, Artifact 2.
Yeah,
we already
yeah,
know.
Artifact 2.0 is not out yet, so we really can't have this conversation.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I probably.
Oh,
would have to-
Splitter Steel.
Oh man, has anybody checked in on that?
It's been.
Oh, I bet it's a wasteland right now.
Oh my god. Let me tell you about Phantasy Star Online 2. Now I hear you saying that game's 8 years old and it's bad.
That game is 8 years old,
And it's bad.
and it's bad.
Perhaps it's the
But in
game
these
of every
trying
year.
times, when sometimes you need to turn your brain all the way off, might I recommend the most mindless game I may have ever played.
Are you just now coming to this realization?
No. This is I've been turning to that game quite often over the past few days. And just like I need to stop thinking about everything, and that game has just enough to think about in terms of like these menus are bad to distract me from the real world, while also being the most mindless repetitive questing in the world. And I've put about 30 hours into it.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I'm like going to play more. It's a highly questionable video game, but good on them for putting that out. How about that Dragon Ball and Kunio-kun bundle that came out? That's a value proposition and a half. It's like all the River City Ransom, like
right.
Crash Boys, like all those games. They localized
Double Dragon.
like something like 6 of them for the first time ever.
Yeah, we
You
played
said
some of that
Dragon
on
a while
Walmart.
before.
Yeah, it's a huge collection of
Yeah,
games.
we played some of that on UPF. There's like a basketball game in there and a
Yeah,
high school,
hockey.
like 2 high school games.
Yeah, it's every video game genre all in one. What
Yeah,
more
right.
do you need?
I'm perfectly happy putting that at the top of this list.
Yeah,
All right, great.
great.
There's
Yeah,
I'll tell you what game's probably not on there, and that's Bubble Bobble for Friends, which is out on Switch, and I played some of that. I
What?
forgot to mention it earlier.
What is it?
Because it doesn't seem very good.
All right, there you
But
go.
it does have old Bubble Bobble in it if you want to play that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations to Double Dragon and Kunio-kun collection, our 2020 game of the year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for writing in. I'm going to call it into the emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is where you write those or send them.
Send them there.
Yeah, that's right. All right. What's everybody's plan from here?
I got to
we-
stream later.
What else are
Yeah.
you going to do with your life?
Oh,
Tell me your
I don't
hopes and
know.
dreams, your ambitions.
to go back to the office and have Bagel Friday again.
I had this really like sad / dark. Well, dark is maybe not the word, but like dark in a capitalism sort of way. Like yesterday, 3 or 4 times over the course of the day, I thought to myself like, I should probably like later in the day, like getting kind of late. I was like, oh, I got to go to bed. I got to go to work in the morning. And I'm like, no. I mean, yes, but
don't-
like,
you don't
but
go to
in my
work
head, I was
anymore.
like, oh, I got to drive. I got to do all this stuff. I was like, no, nope.
I woke up last Wednesday thinking that.
Yeah. And it felt bad. You would think it would feel good to realize like, oh no, I don't have to drive 2 hours to get to the fucking office.
Yeah, you don't go to work anymore. You're just at work. Whoa. Hello.
You never leave. You never leave.
That was a loud sound because I clicked on this Inside Xbox stream.
Oh.
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Someone in chat, I don't know if they're actually serious or not, but they implied that the stream may be at Phil Spencer's house, but that cannot be real.
Huh.
That's got to be chat just
Well,
floating
it's
around.
fireside chat.
I mean, everyone's. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Like, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be everyone?
I mean, like they're doing the Daily Show from home.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
figured.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
you know, he's got an Xbox Series X there.
That's true.
So why not?
It's true. He's just going to point his camera. Ben, he took a cue. He's going to point his MacBook right at the TV.
Yeah.
Just give us a little first-hand taste of the Xbox Series X. Sitting right under there.
Yeah.
All right.
They put out a thing ahead of time saying like they're going to talk about Gears Tactics, which they showed off to media a little while ago.
Yeah.
Over, I assume Skype or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And a couple other announced games, and then kind of it sounded like they were going to have someone come on and crunch some of the numbers or kind of translate some of the spec talk they had recently into human talk, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
But
Sounds all right.
but,
Apparently they did in fact shoot some stuff at his house. So
yeah.
that's out there.
Cool.
If you want to check it out.
Wait, dude, I would not. Did they shoot some stuff, or did he set up a webcam?
I don't know.
Because that's the thing. Is like I wouldn't. If I were Phil Spencer, hell, if I were me, and someone said, "Hey, we want to come into your house and shoot stuff," I'd be like, "Fuck off."
Well, Snake in the
you
chat
can send me a
says-
camera and I will set it up.
That may be the case. Snake in the chat
Okay.
says, you missed it. Phil Spencer did the intro at his house.
Great.
So I need to go see
Xbox in your house.
that. Yeah. I want to go feel like I'm there.
What about some really long lenses and they're shooting from like 12 feet away?
Okay.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
I think that's
As long
that's
as that
acceptable.
12 feet is like on the other side of some glass, like outside a window. If they're outside my house shooting in, A, I'm going to call the police. B, acceptable.
They're gonna
Okay.
use a series of mirrors to set up the cameras outside of his house. Shoot through the window.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that Inside Xbox stuff is out there or about to be. If you're watching this live. Speaking of watching this live, after show.
After show.
After show.
Oh,
I'm down to
I
stick
thought
around
we were
for a
doing the
little bit
thing.
here.
All right. Yeah.
Oh wait, are you guys recording a thing?
No, I thought we were doing the Inside Xbox.
Oh no, we are not gonna talk over the Inside Xbox.
All right.
All right.
I
then
will
that-
start
then
setting stuff up for the after show.
An after show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, stay tuned for that if you're watching live. If you're not, thank you for listening. We are going to get out of here. We'll be back here at the same time next week. We'll see you then.
Yep.